Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tangle Tower. This is a surprise detective.
I'm into Tangle
type
Tower.
game.
Zach's talking about it, so here he goes.
Huh?
Sorry. No, keep talking.
Okay, thank you. This is a detective type game. It has overwhelming positive reviews, and I remember buying it, God, a long time ago. And it was one of those things that I kind of just never got around to playing on my own until like about, I don't know, like a month, 2 months ago. Just randomly got a hankering for like detective games. And so I just like, searched in my library like detective games and sorted by like least playtime. And it was this, and then Scarlet Hollow showed up as like mystery / detective games. And I immediately fell in love with this game. And the sequel is allegedly going to be coming out soon-ish, like hopefully within the next year or so. And so I wanted to show it to Saba, because I think that this game is extremely up Saba's alley. The only thing I will say, in addition to this, it's very interesting, because this game is entirely self-contained, as you can tell by the fact that it's just called Tangle Tower. But it is technically part of a larger overarching like franchise, which I don't know what to call. I was originally going to call this playthrough the Detective Grimoire Saga Tangle Tower, because it stars the same guy. Like the people who made this game made at least one other prior to this that starred the same main character, but it was much more it was like an online flash game. Whereas this game is much more refined and certainly better. Not that the other one wasn't good, but like this one is certainly better. And they just decided to call it Tangle Tower straight up. So there's no Saba in the layout, by the way. That is true. Thank you very much, Mikey. Let me see if I can correct that real quick.
Oh my gosh. Thanks, Mikey.
Ugh. Stop talking for 1 second. Stop.
Oh.
What the fuck? Why were you gray for like 2 seconds? What the hell was that?
I think it was loading in. I have no idea.
That was really weird. Anyway, let me shift you to the side while I'm thinking about it. Position. Yeah. Saba's muted.
Ugh, blow my nose. No one needs to hear that.
Can I is there a thing? There's a thing where you can just like flip image, right?
Yeah,
flip horizontal.
Transform.
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna get your tail out of my face, I think. Anywho.
I still to this day don't understand why Zach doesn't shift me past
what?
The name so I don't cover it, but I think he just wants me to be near his face.
Well, yes. Do you not? I mean, that's what blocking is. Like, I'm talking, you're talking, so it makes sense that you would just look in the same corner.
Yeah, well, that is reasonable. I just feel bad for blocking your.
It's fine. It's not like the name of the game isn't also in the category and title of the screen. Like, it's fine.
Like, if you don't know what this game is,
if you don't know what this game is, I cannot help you. But anywho, so I think we're good to go. Can you move the mouse just to confirm to me that you exist?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, actually, hold on. I need to turn.
I don't see it in. Yeah.
I need to turn on. Because normally I want cursor to not be
visible. Yeah, understandable.
There you go. Do this? Yes. All right, do it again.
Okay.
All right, I see cursor. I think we're good. Wait, what game is this? Saba is covering the name of it.
I told you that.
She's actually only covering the T. So as far as you know, it's Angle Tower, and we're doing a math game.
We're on cool math or whatever it is.com. That's where we
cool
are. We're
games.
playing this game.
All right, feel free to take it away. You'll be doing new file, obviously.
Ooh.
Tangle Tower, mid-afternoon.
So does this take place all just right here?
More or less, yeah. It's pretty much all. It's pretty much all in this location.
It's a bird bath.
So this is something I want to say. The entire game is voice acted.
That's cool.
And by the way, voice acting fucking top notch.
The birds seem to like it.
They're even singing a little tune.
Okay.
Please don't do that.
What? We can't enjoy ourselves here? Huh?
You ready, Sally?
Grimwar, I've been standing here for 7.5 minutes.
Just checking.
Do you have the map?
Yeah, but it's basically blank. Did you read the case
You
file?
brought a
What do you think?
blank map with it?
I'm not sure yet. It's really not a lot to go on. Did you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it on the way to the crime scene.
I would recommend doing both of these things before
You need
anything
to
else.
prep a little early.
Case file,
Case
murder victim. Oh, okay. So sorry, you were playing the game. I was gonna read. Do you want to go back and
You
forth?
could read. You could read. It's okay.
Oh,
I
okay.
usually just,
Case
outburst the
file.
top.
Murder victim is Freya Fellow, age 19. Died whilst painting a portrait of Flora Fellow, age 58. Location was Flora's tower. Flora was present as she was posing for the portrait. Freya Fellow was found lying on her back with a single stab wound on her chest. No weapon was found at the scene, but the subject of Freya's unfinished painting is holding a knife in the painting. The red
So
color
the
on the tip of the
painting
knife
killed
is
her.
not paint. It was discovered to be blood. So in the painting itself, the red at the end of the knife is literally blood in the painting.
Well, she took the putting your blood, sweat, and tears into your work literally.
Tangle Tower. A small painting on a scrap of paper. A few notes are written on the back. Nowadays, it goes by Tangle Tower, but it's actually a pair of towers connected by a mansion at the base. It is surrounded by a circular lake. The water is an unusual mix of colors. The lake is enclosed by sheer, pale cliffs that are too steep and smooth to climb. Tangle Tower is currently home to both the Fellow family and the Pointer family.
So drugs in the water.
It's definitely
Gosh.
weird.
Okay, this is the same thing.
Yep.
She's got a long neck.
Freya Fellow. Yeah. So this is her relation to others, and then these are just notes that you have about her.
Okay.
This is essentially because all you have is the case file. That's just a repeat of the case for right now.
And then this is.
And that's your
and these are
evidence.
settings.
Yep, I would recommend taking a peek at the map too. So this is how you travel from place to place. You click on the next physical location on the map.
Okay.
This is a point-and-click adventure game, so when you go to a new location, you have to be physically curious enough to click on the things that you're interested in.
We used to cross the lake.
Yeah. There is no indication when you have found everything. You just kind of have to intuitively know.
What a comforting thought.
Seems reasonable.
What are they?
Wind chimes. Silent wooden wind chimes.
Silent wooden.
It's just an archway, but it seems a little ominous.
I like it if
Like
they,
walking through it might give you bad luck.
depends on how specific they get with
Right.
what I click.
The
Like,
stuff that's
The floor.
important is pretty obvious. Like the stuff that's significantly important to the case is pretty obvious. But like the stuff you can click on it's a lot. Like they put a lot of effort and voice acting into this.
Poisonous.
I think it's just water.
Yeah.
You think,
Water with
Sally?
poison in it.
But that's not evidence, okay? You can't just think, okay? You have to have things behind it, okay? Water with poison in it. Okay, I think we've seen everything here.
It is very funny though, because like I feel like I could be Detective Grimoire. Like I feel like that's not a huge leap in personality. I don't think you could be Sally.
I don't think so either. I'm already looking at her and I'm like, okay, some of this stuff makes sense. She is way too sarcastic for me. Like, and I like sarcasm, but she's like deadpan.
You have one
sarcastic.
scene. I promise you'll warm up to her, but we need to get there. Gardens.
Egg?
It's a stone carving. Wonder how it got cracked.
I think it's supposed to look like that. It's an egg.
Okay. But Do you like cracked eggs versus whole eggs? Where is it looking
What
at?
animal is that?
Hawk, bear, lizard.
I mean, it has to be
Right,
some kind of bird.
course. A hawk bear lizard.
Mushroom.
This is some garden.
Do the plants all look a little strange to you?
They kind
know.
of do.
So far all I see is this and this. I mean, this is literally fluctuating visually, so yeah, I think.
And it's full of the same weird water that was in the lake.
This is dark
Any fish in
purple.
there?
Not a single one. Although there is something in there.
It's a cassette tape. Or it used to be.
You have discovered a damaged tape. The cassette has been damaged by water. The ink on the label is blurred and illegible.
Okay, so got it. This statue
It's a
of
statue of some hideous, scaly, bipedal fish monster
Playing a harp.
playing a harp.
that's a Zach face.
It's a good image.
Hang on a second.
Would you like to look closer or leave it alone?
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Oh,
Isn't just a regular statue, is it?
Something tells me we're not gonna solve this just yet.
yeah. But or I could brute force it, but
You
that
literally
would take
cannot. The
way
game
too
does
long.
not let you. Believe me, I combinatorial explosioned it and it did not work.
Oh, I'm glad it holds on to stuff that we've kind
Correct.
of seen. I think I could definitely voice act Sally though.
Definitely, I think you could voice act most
What do you
women.
think it's for?
I was talking specifically about the way she talks right now, I guess, but true. All women, just me. Except for the tall, sexy, older women. That's Grant.
That is great.
I think it's to scare away detectives.
Is it working?
No.
Yeah, I love that line read. No.
The pond
that
has little
line?
stone feet.
Seems a bit superfluous.
You're superfluous.
See,
She's
she's
excited about
charming.
what
She's
things
not
he's
just
like.
sassy. She's Sally.
Bit small for a bandstand.
It's a one-man bandstand.
Say that 5 times fast.
One man bandstand. 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 One man
It's
bandstand.
quiet.
Mhm.
Easy.
You're supposed to say, too quiet?
It's not. It's an appropriate amount of quiet.
I see.
Do remember that in order to move, you have to
you
go
have
to
to
the bathroom.
move. Yeah.
Yeah, just reminding you.
Excuse
It
me.
actually is kind of clever because forcing you to move via the map. I love their little icons. Forcing you to move via the map means that you're able to investigate doors and stuff, where in other point-and-click adventures you just wouldn't. So that's kind of neat.
Because, like, if you click on it, it would take you.
Tangle twirr.
Twirr. Angle twirr.
Tangle twirr.
Oh.
What?
Oh, there's an O on the floor.
But that.
Oh yeah. Tangle tour.
Twirl.
True. It is twirr. Twirr.
There's a heart engraved in the tree. I didn't know people actually did that.
PPFF.
Something. What's her name? The Fiona. Laura. Fleur.
Looks like someone tried to chop it down, but then gave up.
Can you blame them?
That is it. They were more than halfway.
Dude, it's hard jumping down a tree.
Feeders.
How do you know they're for birds?
They're for crickets, like in Mulan.
Is that an envelope?
It's been opened, but the letter's still in there. Let's read it.
Isn't that an invasion of
Let's,
someone's privacy?
Hey, if this was someone's actual mail, it'd be
Oh,
in a
definitely.
mailbox. Okay? Not in a bush.
The envelope has been ripped open. There is a single piece of paper inside. The combination is drawn on the other sheet. Once you have it memorized, destroy it. I do not agree with your reasons. You will not find it down there.
We gotta go somewhere down. That's a
A
weird
path leading towards the stone square.
Do you
car.
think he'll start to move if we try to go inside?
No, I think he'll just silently judge us. Should we ring the doorbell?
Why would we not?
Yeah, pretty good.
It's a little melody.
I believe that's a reference to a different one of their games, but I think it's very subtle.
Don't think it's locked.
Oh, that means we can just walk straight in, right?
I'm pretty sure that's the rule, yeah.
Okay.
See,
Make
they're
sure
both
not-
just fucking buffoons, kinda. Like they're smart buffoons. All right, where do you want to go? Do you want to go inside, or do you want to continue exploring outside?
I like to defy what people tell me to do, and this is pointing here, so that means I
Let's
need
head
to go
the crime
here.
scene first. It's
How
at the top of the
dare
west tower.
deny me? Sally, how dare you?
All right, there's one particular part of this that I think we do need to investigate, but if you don't, but I'll only bring it up if you don't
We
find
get
it.
to investigate a murder in a spooky mansion.
It's not that spooky, really.
Don't ruin this.
It's not locked.
A door.
Oh, what's behind it?
A room.
Nice. Clearly, there seems to be two people living
A
here.
big letter F.
Of course. Who doesn't hang a giant banner of their initial in the lobby of their mansion? This one has a big P.
That's probably important.
How very perceptive of you.
Nice.
What is that?
I think it's a family tree.
All right. So
Okay.
every single person on this you can get opinions on, but I would not necessarily. I mean, you can do it, but they just repeat dialogue because you haven't met any of these people yet. But I'll ask you, where do you want to start? Because it's a lot of names, and only some of these names matter.
I was gonna start top left.
Top left. All right. So you have Lord Fellow and then Lady Fellow. They do not have specific names because they are too old. Lord Fellow married Selena Stonetop, and together they had a child named Felicia Fellow, who then married Damien Dusk, and they had a child named Freya Fellow, who is the murder victim. It's Freya, right?
Yeah.
So that is the murder victim. All right.
Okay.
Lord Fellow then went on to marry Lady Fellow, who's obviously the main one, and they had two kids, Flint Fellow and Felix Fellow. Flint married Emily Everstone, and they had a child named Fitz Fellow, which would be Freya Fellow's cousin, right?
Yeah. I
That's
think-
how that works if you follow the family tree. We're gonna go back a little bit further. Lord and Lady Remington had 3 kids: Flora Remington, Richard Remington, and Primrose Remington. Felix Fellow of the Fellow family married Flora Remington. Together they had Fiona Fellow. Flora Remington, also now known by marriage as Flora Fellow, was the person who was in that tower when the murder occurred.
Oh, the one who's being painted.
Yeah, so that's
okay.
that person. Richard Remington did not have any descendants. Primrose Remington did, but we're going to have to go back a little bit further to the Pointer family. Lord and Lady Pointer had 2 kids, Percival Pointer, who married Primrose Remington, who was Flora's sister. Together they had Poppy Pointer, that's their daughter. Percival's sister, Pandora Pointer, married Buck Brackley, and they had a child together named Penelope Pointer. So the most recent generation of all of these families would be Freya Fellow, who's now dead, I believe, Fitz Fellow, Fiona Fellow, Poppy Pointer, and Penelope Pointer. So it's 3 Fellows, 2 Pointers, and no Remingtons.
Okay.
Freya Fellow.
The murder victim.
She's barely related to the main family at all. Fiona Fellow. Dead center. She must be important.
She's half fellow and half Remington.
Do you think she still lives here?
Poppy Pointer.
She's half Remington and half Pointer.
Do you think she still lives here?
So you can see where this,
Penelope
the
Pointer.
repeating. Do you think she still lives here?
Half Pointer, half Brackley.
Do you think she still lives here?
So I guess it's just about,
Once
like,
you meet
question mark.
characters, you can come back here and they will re-summarize a lot of stuff for you, which is nice.
Yeah.
If you feel that it's
Finally,
necessary.
we get to invest. Don't ruin this.
Let's see
It's
this.
a big glass tube filled with water.
There are weeds in there. And sand.
It's an aquarium?
Could be. Except there's nothing living in it. Anymore.
Except the plants. What's all this egg? Okay, I think we've seen it. Also,
I think you are correct.
round, pointy.
Oh, you mean fellow and pointer? Alright, I would recommend just going directly to the tower. This game
Yeah.
also works for like touchscreens and stuff, which is why everything is so big and chunky.
Big and chunky.
There's the painting, there is Flora herself, and there is the murder scene.
Let's talk to
take a look at that
her.
painting first.
Okay, well, let's ignore the person in the room.
There it is. The unfinished portrait of Flora Fellow.
So, what? Freya was killed halfway through painting it.
Looks that way.
Painted portrait. Freya was unable to finish the painting as she died sometime during the process. Flora appears to be wielding a knife. The red substance on the tip was discovered to be blood.
Okay.
I wonder if all of Freya's paintings are this creepy. Maybe it's just because she never got to finish it.
There's something wrong with the crime scene.
God, I only
Something
wish I could be
really
this good
weird
of a
about the
voice
murder
actor.
weapon.
We didn't find a murder weapon.
Thinky. So, this is the main, like, gameplay, I guess, beyond just, like, non-lateral thinking. These are the elements that you're aware of right now. You need to make a true statement. There is something very strange about how Freya was killed. Element 1, statement 1, element 2, statement 2. You will be able to, like, reverse engineer this into a truthful assertion. There you go.
Flora's portrait.
There's no downside if you're wrong. It just doesn't let you progress.
Because Freya put it there. Almost. Maybe just change.
Okay, this last one's the only one I'm like, I don't know.
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood.
Guess it stabbed Freya.
I mean, that's the logical conclusion, wouldn't it?
Flora's portrait is holding a knife tipped with blood because it stabbed Freya.
What?
Uh-huh.
Weird.
I
What?
think Freya was stabbed by a painting. Not by the woman from the painting, but by the painting itself.
Mm-hmm. Freya was standing right up by the canvas when she was killed. There's blood on the knife. It's the murder weapon.
Right, but it's not actually a knife. It can't stab.
See any other knives around here? Case closed.
The case is not closed. And even if you were right, where does that leave us? A painting could be a murder suspect.
Okay.
Welcome to Chapter 1. An unfinished painting.
I would have liked it if they just they missed one letter in unfinished, so you take out the D.
So I wanna point out, I think this is a really, really strong initial premise for a murder mystery, right? It's like there's no obvious murder weapon, and she was in fact stabbed in the chest while standing right in front of a painting. Like the painting would have been disturbed or otherwise moved in order to stab her in the chest, right? But the obvious conclusion is that she must have been stabbed by the painting.
Or she was stabbed from behind, so the blood that was on the
no,
tip
the
of the
wound
knife.
is in the chest. That's what that means. You can't just stab
from
someone in the
front.
chest and then fucking shift it to the, or you can't just stab someone in the back and shift it to the chest.
So how do you get back to that deduction thing, or is that just a separate?
That's
space?
just like a set piece.
Is that an egg? An egg with bird feet.
It's also covered in gemstones. What a completely ordinary object.
Puzzle time,
I
Saba!
think it's a container for something.
Those gems look like they come off.
Though I definitely I miss this kind of visual stuff. I remember playing a lot more of like this style of game as a kid. Is that like hint? What is this?
I think this is you think that you're done.
Oh, swap the position of the gems. So, purple to golden diamond? Oh, and these intersect, so you can move these wherever. Oh, this needs like a destination. But all of these are filled. Oh, I can just swap them. Okay. Gotcha. I hope this isn't, Hold on. There we go. And the shorter end is red. That's green. 2 purples. Okay. Red and a blue. I want to move something I've already touched. Okay. I've done that. I've done that. Okay, the really weird one. Did I finish it?
If you think that you did, hit the lock at the top right.
Let's see. Because I think I've looked at everything now. Yeah.
Nope.
Nope,
Did
I
you
missed
check the
something.
clue on the back? I'm pretty sure it explains where to put each of
Okay. Just gotta double check. So, these are the 2 purples. This is the green and red. The long one. Which is this one. The shorter end has purple. That has blue. This one. Red into blue. We already talked about the long purple one. The one that's a W. Oh,
I got it.
Aha!
Okay.
She did it.
I'm impressed.
Congratulations.
Did it unlock? What's
yay!
in there?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, I'm not leaving without a clue. An empty egg is a clue, right?
So there was nothing in it, but you're taking the egg as evidence. Well, you're recording it as evidence. You don't physically take it. Once unlocked, the egg can be opened. It is currently empty. The lining of the egg is a soft velvet-like material. The egg is supported by a stand made of brass. It rests on 3 strange feet with pointed claws.
Is that a gramophone?
I think so. Except it's got a tape deck instead of a turntable.
It's also got a big crack down the middle.
Gramophone. It plays cassette tapes instead of vinyl records. It's pointed towards the middle of the room. There's a noticeable crack running through it, all the way from the horn down through the tape deck.
That's weird. These things don't normally crack like that.
What
It
about
would be
the cassette
crazy
tape?
for anything to crack like that, yeah.
Sure is. Pink.
You found this in the tape deck. The cassette tape is cracked down the middle. There is a handwritten message on the label said, "To Freya."
Do you think it still works?
The gramophone? We could give it a go.
Feel free to click on it.
It's piano music.
It's a recording of piano music. It plays for a short while before stopping.
Okay.
Weird.
It's someone humming a tune.
And now it's someone humming a tune.
It's a recording of someone walking outdoors. A distorting humming melody can be heard. Lovely.
Yay.
It's so
Pretty
dark
late.
back there.
Somehow, the sunlight doesn't seem to be making it very far into the room.
Hey, Zach.
Yes?
I see you.
No!
At the top of the tower, right?
I think so. Why?
Doesn't matter. It's nothing. Supposedly, Freya was working on the painting when she was killed. Looks like she was still holding her paintbrush and palette when she fell.
Didn't even get a chance to clean her brush.
The palette has a variety of paints loaded onto it. The largest is a blob of black in the middle. The paintbrush is still covered with dried
That's
red.
black?
That is supposed
That's
to be
green.
black, yes.
Okay. Well, I'll let them believe what they want to believe. That's
Well, I mean, looking at the painting, you can see why she needed a lot of black.
yeah.
It's also on the floor.
Sure is. Guessing it's not supposed to be down there. The outline of Freya Fellow. Looks like she fell onto her back. There's a single patch of blood, right in the middle. No real signs of a struggle.
That's weird.
What?
Her feet were right up by the canvas,
So?
so she was probably standing really close to the canvas when she fell.
Let's check the case file again.
So this is false?
That's more that it's a slightly artistic rendition because it's supposed to be completely in the shadow of the painting, but it is largely accurate. The idea was that she was standing right up against and fell perfectly backwards.
Okay. So why are we looking back at this case file?
They were just this is just in case you didn't read it earlier.
Oh.
Freya's painting supplies.
Small glass
That's right.
pots of red, yellow, blue, black, and white paint. The glass pots are all cracked down one side.
There's a lot of cracking going on here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of egg puns.
Freya's painting supplies.
Okay, it's the same thing. So can we talk to her now? Is that... Wow.
Fellow?
Okay.
Hey, sorry to barge in. I'm sure you're still in some distress.
We need to ask you a few questions, I'm afraid.
Did you witness the murder, Flora?
She hasn't even said anything
Nothing.
yet.
What do we do?
Not sure. She's entitled to her silence, I suppose.
For now.
So this is your first, like, we'll call it interview/interrogation. These are topics that you will ask everybody pretty much, and you'll get their full readout. And then you can see along the top, so that's your notes, then you have persons of interest, and then you have evidence. You can also ask every character about how they feel about every other character and how they feel about every piece of evidence you have. Most of those are just for flavor. A lot of those are characters just saying, I don't know what this is. And on rare occasion, you will get a character being like, oh, here's an extra piece of information about this that you didn't know. So it's important to do all of them.
Oh, okay.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us, Flora? I don't really know anything about you at all.
I think that's the way she likes it. We'll just have to ask other people about her.
This is a family of people with tall necks.
Freya was painting your portrait yesterday. Is that right?
Was this something you had planned with her ahead of time?
Was there something special about yesterday?
Did you talk to Freya at all while she was painting you?
She's not going to answer us, is she?
Nope. But at least we can say we tried.
Maybe we can a statement?
This is her official statement as to, like, what she was doing, what happened yesterday. Because the murder was yesterday.
Were you close with Freya? How are you two related?
Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna
Did you
happen
kill
right now.
Freya?
Grimoire!
What? I don't even think she's listening.
Oh, she's listening.
This is tell us about
Anything
yourself.
else?
Yeah.
Any hobbies besides staring out the window?
Okay, there's a lot of stuff. Good. I'm glad she's straightforward.
Is
This
this
Actually, probably one of the best characters to start with, obviously, because she really just has nothing to say.
Flora, this is... Why do you keep it locked?
Is there supposed to be something in there? Or is it always empty?
She moved her hand, so clearly there is
Did you
something.
ask Freya to paint this? Or was it her idea?
What is that you're holding in the painting, Flora? Some people have been saying it's a knife.
Okay. What do you think of this? Okay, I see. What about this? What about? Nice. Okay.
Well done.
I think I've gotten a lot
You
of
still need
information
the
from
statement, right?
She's
Flora,
not going
you
to
were
say
definitely
anything,
in the
though.
room at the time
You
of
still
the
need
murder.
it, though.
Surely you must have seen something.
Like, legally.
Can you tell me anything about what happened to Freya?
Even if it's like we just write 3 dots on the page.
Yeah, that's her
She's
statement.
acting pretty suspicious, if you ask me.
I don't know. Maybe she really doesn't know anything.
How is that possible?
And that's locked, so I think we've done it, Zach.
I agree. I think you're done. So, you started by exploring the tower. I believe you now have access to the entire fellow tower and then the outside, depending on what you want to do.
Okay, let's go back outside first.
You want to go all the way back down. I think that's fair. Oh, you even have most of the pointer tower too.
Yeah, these are 3 separate rooms. This just seems like one big. Okay.
There's a metal plaque on the bench.
Is there a message engraved on it?
I think there was at one point, but someone scratched it off.
There's supposed to be a serpent here.
Turned into stone by a wizard.
If you say so. What happened to its head?
Beheaded. By the same wizard.
She's right.
That's
you
a
know.
big
I've seen a
mushroom.
mushroom that big before?
Not in real life.
A giant glowing gemstone full of plants.
Imagine that as like a greenhouse. Like someone just made one that looks like a giant gemstone.
AKA a greenhouse.
It is a greenhouse, Saba.
No, I know. I meant in real life, though. Imagine someone in real life did that.
Sure, I mean, I guess you could. It wouldn't be that difficult, right?
Or at least it's the...
Not any more difficult than a regular greenhouse, I guess.
People will just look at you strangely when you ask for it.
It's a big stone dais.
Biggest one I've ever seen. First one, too.
Is that
Okay.
Is that a
We're
clock?
slowly inching closer to the
It
person.
is. It's a clock with 4 faces.
Oh, don't mind us.
I'm
Puzzle.
guessing it doesn't tell the time.
So what does it do?
So
You have all
that's
the
a
information
clue.
you need to solve this. I'll let you know.
I have all the information.
Mm-hmm. It's remember, this is a thing where it's like it's not gonna tell you like, oh, you've done it. It's like you have to submit to try.
Oh.
No.
Yeah.
Forgot about
moving
that.
any of the hands turns the adjacent it's like cogs on a machine.
Okay, well I understood that part. See, like this is all the same. Okay, when does it look like something? Because clearly this looks like a 2. These are all the same. I feel like I'm lacking in understanding here.
For the sake of time, you can ask me for a clue if you want.
Yeah, I don't.
You are like 99% of the way there. You just need to so like for example, the third dial, right? What does
Yeah.
that look like inside the circle?
12. So, see, this is the only one I kind of see something in. That's
Okay.
the thing. Okay, that's a 9. I have to like. This is a. I don't know if I can tell this one. This also looks like a weird 9, but that looks more like a 9 than this one.
I will give you another little hint, just because you're on the right track. We need to move. Like you basically got it. You just need to trial and error it a little bit. I will let you know that the symbols that these dials need to be set to will be visibly the correct thing. Like you won't have to turn your head or anything like that in order to see what you're looking for. So perhaps that one on the side that you think is a 9 isn't a 9, considering that you'd have to turn your head to see a 9.
Oh. Okay.
So if it's not a 9,
okay,
what would
then
it
this
be?
is a 6. Um. I think I thought I figured out one of them, but
Now that's just the backwards E.
well, I
backwards
was like, this is
lowercase
what
e.
looked like the 9, right? And there's another 6! Zach! Well, this one, that one makes more sense than this one. Then is this the 9? Okay.
And what does that make the first dial?
Okay, I see it, okay.
Okay.
That's
so
a 3, oh god,
now
okay.
you just need to get dial 3 into the right place, and you got it.
Well, no, this one's wrong as well.
That's what I just said. Now you just need to get dial 3 into the
Oh,
right
dial,
place.
the 3rd dial, not this dial.
3rd dial. Sorry.
So I by default need this here.
Because these are by far the most time-consuming part of the game. So if anything, because like you were there, and that's the only reason why I was willing to give you a hint, just because you already got it. You just needed a little nudge in the right direction.
Just the visual. Yeah, I just needed to like stare at it visually for like a hot second. Okay, well this will be a little annoying.
I think there's only like a small handful of puzzles that you can't solve as soon as you get to them.
I got it.
Good
Okay.
job, Saba. You did it. And inside you get
A little
Nothing.
tool?
Oh.
Looks like a telescope.
a
but I'm
little
not actually
telescope.
Sure what it is.
It's an
Small
eyeglass.
lens. A small brass tool with a curved glass lens. It has a screw at the base. So you can't see it because you can't manipulate in 3D. Guess what? In Mermaid Mask, you can. You can manipulate evidence in 3D to like look at all angles. This is not a like it's not a hole for you to screw. It's like it has a screw coming out of the bottom to screw into something else.
Gotcha.
Whoa, nice cape.
You're not fellows or pointers. I'm sure I shall immediately regret asking. But who are you, and what is your business here?
I'm Sally, and this is my sidekick Grimoire.
A private detective, Grimoire.
Really? You're a detective. If this is a joke, it's not a good one.
Wow, talk about judge a book by its cover.
Private Detective Hawkshaw.
Oh, nice.
Another detective?
Hawkshaw's a cooler name than Grimoire. Maybe I'll become her sidekick.
Okay, I don't know about
Valley,
that.
do you
I
mind?
like
Fellow case 2, are you?
That is classified information between myself and my client. Clearly, this is something which eludes you. But a real detective refrains from handing out informations to persons unknown.
Oh, right.
Now, if you would, I have work to do. It's not in my interest to discuss personal details.
Even if you're one of the suspects in a murder?
Very well. Let us make a small exception. Ask.
Oh, what are you doing here?
I'm on a case at the behest of my client.
How long have you been at Tangle Tower?
133 hours. 5.5 days.
Who are you working for?
I am not at liberty to answer that. Now, I shall permit you one more question.
What crime are you...
How'd you get that scar? It's cool.
You really think so?
Yeah, sure, why not?
As it happens, I completed an examination of Flora's room on the morning before the murder. I've been investigating every single room at Tangled Tower. Hers is one of the last on my list.
Did you find anything unusual?
Nothing but a thin layer of dust and an atmosphere of somber melancholy.
Was Flora in there at the time?
She spent the duration of my search staring up at the sky, out the open window. Didn't say a word, although I'm told this is the expected behavior.
What did you do after that?
I spent the early evening searching the library. It took longer than it should have. Fiona leaves that room in a permanent state of disarray.
Fiona was in the library too?
I expected her to make an appearance, but she did not.
And you stayed in the library the rest of the day?
Not quite.
Okay.
Don't forget persons and evidence.
Quite the stoic statue, isn't she? I can only dream of being as cold and indifferent as Flora Fellow.
You think she's hiding something?
Perhaps. She has some strange habits. I heard she barely sleeps, an hour here or there, sporadically. Spends the rest of her time staring up at the sky.
What does this mean?
So
we've
that means
talked
that
to
you
them?
have already physically visited them, and in your person's dossier, you can teleport to where they are. Just in case you forget where they're physically located.
Okay.
300.
So like after you're done all of this with Hawkshaw, Hawkshaw's thing should be lit up.
314.
300?
Freya Fellow is of great interest to me. I perceived her to be the most intelligent individual here at Tangle Tower. Within a day,
Everyone else
she
is
had
stupid.
identified for whom I was working and for what I was searching. I didn't know how she did it. I was impressed. I regret that I did not question her more thoroughly when I had the opportunity.
You couldn't have known she was about to be killed, though.
I have only myself to blame for failing to perceive the signs.
What signs?
I do not wish to do your job for you, Detective.
This belongs to you, Hawkshaw?
Correct.
And, what is it?
It's my handheld microscope
What is
for
it?
up-close investigation work.
What do you magnify with it?
Trace particles, dust, oils, clothing fibers.
Have you used it here at Tangle Tower?
I have. I used it to examine the greenhouse only 2 days ago.
What were you looking for?
That is between myself and my client.
Gotcha.
Paints?
Yep.
Paints.
Mm-hmm.
Paint.
The paint is still wet.
Yeah, well, we know Freya was in the middle of painting when she was killed.
Do you know that? How? Because you were told?
Which brings up
He's
a
like,
good point.
oh.
That is a
I
good
believe
point.
That was in Flora's room yesterday. But it was not cracked when I saw it last.
Someone got cracked. Went to some
Somewhat
cracking.
cumbersome device, and an altogether inefficient way to listen to music.
What kind of music do you like, Hawkshaw?
I like anything.
What a cop-out.
What was with that like?
It's
Faux
supposed to be this.
punch noise.
It's supposed to be like when the anime character goes like, ah! But it's like this. It's like this version of that, I guess, because she was taken aback by being asked a personal
I'm
question.
impressed. I managed it myself yesterday. I thought Flora might be hiding something in there.
It was empty yesterday too.
It was. Perhaps it's always been empty. Makes quite an impression, doesn't it? Although I can't imagine why she painted Flora wielding a knife.
You didn't see a knife anywhere in Flora's room, did you?
I did not. I conclude whatever stabbed Freya must have been brought into the room from outside. Unless, of course,
It's
was the
still
painting
there.
itself.
Oh.
Surely you
I-
don't believe in that kind of thing.
A detective's job is to examine every avenue of thinking.
I was just gonna say it's to believe in everything, but okay.
Conveniently left anonymous. It's useless until you can prove to whom
Oh,
it
I only
concerns.
just realized Mikey left a
Can you do
message like a
that?
fucking hour
No.
ago. He
No.
pestered you about Detective Pikachu?
I did, yeah, he did. But like I had already put it on my list of like stuff to play when I get around to setting up like a emulator.
for the
So-
Switch.
Well, no, it was for the DS, right?
No.
The 3DS? That's where the first Detective Pikachu is.
Is it? I thought it was on.
Yeah. I was also gonna see if I could like do some emulator for like a Wii, just like Nintendo, like old Nintendo stuff. But I can't do stuff for Switch because of the things. But you know, well, it'll be later. It'll happen
Have
eventually.
you deciphered the meaning of those 4 symbols on the harp?
We're working on it.
That's a no then. Where'd you dig that up?
It wasn't buried. It was underwater.
Someone trying to conceal evidence, perhaps? You
It was
My
originally
case
released on
files.
the
a
3DS.
case file?
What's wrong with
No.
it?
No organization, no system.
That's my style. I like seeing everything laid out at once. Yeah, it helps me think.
How quaint. Tangled Tower. No idea why they insist on calling it that. It's not even a tower. It's little more than a pair of turrets stuck on either side of a mansion.
Have you searched the whole place?
I believe so. Why?
He wants to know if you found any secret rooms.
I'm afraid the residents of Tangle Tower are far too ordinary for anything like that. I was disappointed too.
Okay,
There you go.
pretty cool.
Towards the early evening, my examination of the library was unexpectedly disrupted. Sounds of running, wailing, shouting from several floors above. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared. He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. Our eyes met. He was breathless. Something had caused him great alarm. He told me to stay out of the way. I consented. I decided to return to my office in the stone square. As I was passing through the front door,
Well, this is where her office is.
Penelope called out from behind me. She was clutching the banister of the Pointer staircase with an apprehensive manner. She wished to know where Professor Pointer had gone. I told her what had transpired. Then, she too crossed the hall and disappeared up the fellow staircase. More so than at any moment prior, I felt like quite an intruder in the house. I took my leave, out towards the stone square. The grounds were silent. There were no signs of human life. Even the greenhouse was without its typical inhabitant. I noted that he, too, must be entangled in whatever was transpiring in Fellow Tower. An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance. He spoke to me of what had occurred. His report was as clumsy and cumbersome as the man giving it.
Did he seem upset?
He was rattled, that much was clear, but sorrowful, mournful, I cannot say.
Cool.
There you go. So that's normally what statements are like. I will also
So,
let you know
Does
just
she
for the.
sleep out here?
She works out here, certainly.
Fucking date.
I will have you know, just in case you're concerned about it at all. She gave you a lot of stuff, like timeline type stuff, like event happened, then event happened, and every character's gonna do that when you take their statement. Don't worry, the game keeps track of that stuff for you. Because when I was originally playing, I was trying to manually make a timeline of events, and it got fucking way too much because there was too many characters.
Okay.
Welcome to the greenhouse.
Oh. Whoa.
That's a handsome beetle. Looks like he might have magic powers.
He didn't say anything.
Is that fruit? It's shaped like fruit.
Too shiny to be fruit. I think it's glowing a little too.
Safe to eat, do you think?
I'm gonna say no.
This one's in a little pot.
Okay, that is definitely not edible.
It looks like a gemstone, don't you think?
Potted fruit. The potted fruit with a hard gemstone-like skin. The soil in the pot is an unusual blue color. Sorry, color.
Color.
A little
Making good
Talk to
charter.
the
detective games.
Actually, I have no idea what it's about.
Well,
This is just a chart.
Kind of reminds me of
Oh.
a periodic table. Kind of
Hi.
reminds me of a periodic table.
What do you make of it?
Not a whole lot.
Okay, well, there really wasn't much to do there except
Tools. Used by a gardener for gardening. Bags of soil.
It's so blue.
Okay, I think we could just go talking to
Sally,
his eyes up.
we're being watched.
Yeah, I see him. He's a little too big to hide in the bushes.
He was like, "Oh, I tried my best."
I hadn't considered that.
Is anyone going to say anything? Or shall we just stand around staring at each other?
Right, sorry.
Sorry.
That's better. I'm Sally. And the guy hiding behind me is Detective Grimoire. Who are you?
Fitzfellow, the gardener.
Mm-hmm. And why are you so tall?
I
Genetics?
don't know.
He's just like confused. It's like, what do you mean?
What a stupid question.
You work here as the gardener.
I don't get paid to do it. It's just my area of interest.
What's the deal with the plants? They're all kinda weird.
Right. Did you see the lake?
That giant green and purple lake surrounding the entire house? Yeah, I clocked it.
The color is just a byproduct.
Of what? Poison?
It's not poisonous, not to you.
What's this got to do with the plants?
The water controls all life, just like anywhere else on the planet. Clouds form, rain falls. The water grows the plants, animals eat the plants. Anything you've perceived as an irregularity is simply a result of this hydrological cycle.
Could you say that again, but like
Yeah.
condense it as if you were talking to a slightly stupid person?
Our lake water causes the unpredictable alteration of DNA, sometimes.
Alteration? Like mutation?
That'd be the official term. For us, it's normal. Just nature.
And you're the local expert on all this stuff?
No, I'm just the gardener.
That's demeaning to yourself.
I was in my greenhouse, watering and weeding.
Sounds exciting.
Was anyone else around?
Not at first. Penelope came in a little later. She likes looking at the flowers, I think.
Did you speak to each other?
A little, not too much. We both left the greenhouse in the early afternoon. I went up to my room. Then I came back outside to weed the main gardens. Didn't see anyone else. After that, I went up to the garden outside my room.
And?
Let me guess. Watering and weeding.
Right.
Did anything happen to you yesterday, Fitz?
Statement.
I like Flora. I hope she's all right.
Do you think she had anything to do with the murder?
There's no way. She wouldn't willingly cause any additional suffering for anyone. She questioned me,
About what?
my work, the plants, bit of everything.
Did she search the greenhouse?
No, she didn't.
You sure? Maybe she did it when you weren't in there.
No,
But how
she
would he
hasn't
know?
touched it.
How can you tell?
Trust me.
I guess.
I can tell. She was always kind to me. She'd come into the greenhouse when I was working, sometimes by herself, sometimes with Poppy. I think they were just bored at first. Eventually, they started asking questions.
About what?
Poppy wanted to learn about flowers. Freya, she used to ask me about the insects.
Insects?
One of my jobs is to protect plants from things that might eat them. Freya brought me this little glass box, leaves and twigs inside. She'd say, put all the troublemakers in there. Every day I'd put a handful of beetles and other things in the box. Then she'd come along and take it away. I didn't really understand her, but she was always kind.
Okay.
Have you met this guy,
It
Fitz?
makes me
Shifty
so
eyes.
sad just
Doesn't
coming
say a
back to
lot.
this stage of the
Totally
game.
Suspicious, if you ask me.
That's me.
Yeah, It was a joke. I was joking.
Oh, I see.
He doesn't, but it's okay.
This is
Yes.
a good example of how things work. I mix that soil here in the greenhouse. It's made with water from the lake.
And it makes the fruit grow all shiny and gem-stony.
Sometimes. You never really know what's going to happen.
And what do you do with this shiny and edible fruit?
You look at it.
I wanted him to say something like, "How do you know it's inedible?" Huh?
How do you know it's inedible? And then Grimoire bites into it, and he's like, "It is inedible." And he's like, "I know."
To you, maybe. To you, and then he takes a bite, and then he just like crumbles into dust.
No, but I don't normally go into Fifi's room.
That's not where we found it.
Oh, I just thought it looks like it belongs to her.
Fifi.
Paints are different to flowers.
I'd say so, yeah.
At any time, flowers can bloom with perfect, faultless colors. Red, blue, white. With paint, once you've tainted a color by mixing it with others, not even the most skilled painter can return it to its pure form.
Okay.
There's
It's true.
something
It is
off
literally
about this.
true.
What is it?
Why don't you take another look at Flora's room?
You think we missed a clue up there?
Not exactly.
So there's something wrong with it. Okay.
That looks like it might belong to Poppy.
Okay. Well, clearly those two are together under, K-I-S-S-I-N-G on a tree.
You think so?
Belongs to Poppy.
So why is it
We saw a heart
Not
around
sure.
two names, so I feel like that makes sense.
Who?
It's an egg with feet.
It was locked.
Well, if Poppy was
But we
hanging
opened
out
it.
with Freya, then
And it was
I feel
empty.
like that would make
You
sense.
think it's
but it
Poppy
could
and
be
Freya?
the other P.
Story.
Just
The only other person is what's the other
Saba.
key person?
Saba. Every person in the Fellow family's first name is F.
Oh,
This
so,
guy's
okay.
this guy's
There was definitely
Fitzfellow. There was Freya Fellow. Every single one of them is FF.
I guess my mind went automatically to the person involved being the one, but that is true. But I gotta hold off judgment.
I will also let you know every member of the Pointer family also begins with a
I don't
P.
know.
I know, yeah,
Penelope,
yeah.
Poppy, so on and so forth.
Flora wasn't holding anything at all when I saw her after the murder. But there's something bothering me. Something else.
What?
When we went into
Okay.
Flora's room, she wasn't standing in this position.
Well, she probably would have moved around a little bit by then.
She wasn't standing at all. She was kneeling on the floor.
Okay, that's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
How odd. It's of no interest to me, but I overheard Poppy and Freya talking about it once.
What were they saying?
They were arguing about something, but I can't remember the details. That looks like it might belong to Poppy.
Okay, so tapes are Poppy's thing, I
Gave you
guess.
that information.
Well...
We don't actually know who it was. We were contacted anonymously.
I see. And what happens if the person who contacted you turns out to be the murderer?
I never thought about that.
Honestly, that would be kind of fun. Like a twist,
Uh-huh.
Nice painting. Gives you a pretty good idea of the layout.
The lake looks like it forms a perfect circle around the island.
It might seem strange to you, but nature is quite capable of producing perfectly geometric forms.
And those
That is true.
mountain cliff things around the outside?
We don't know much about them. They're unscalable. Not even Freya could have gone up there.
What's that?
This painting, it's speculative. There are no photographs from this angle as far as I know.
So Freya just made it up.
Let's call it an informed estimation.
I think that's a really neat detail. Well, that's two really neat details. Number one, you don't know who hired you to be here to figure out who murdered Freya. You don't know. And then two, the idea that this image of what the tower looks like is entirely speculative. No one's ever seen the full thing.
I was up in the rooftop garden. It was quiet. And then, it wasn't. I can't describe it. Could have been a scream. but it didn't sound human. We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
We?
Poppy was with me. Did I not mention that? Flora's room was locked.
Oh my god.
She usually locks it from the inside. I knocked on the door and shouted. Nobody responded.
So, Freya's tower is also Freya's room, right?
Yes.
They're the same thing. Okay.
Poppy and I went in. Freya
That's
was
they explained why she doesn't have a bed by saying that she only sleeps
Flora
very
was there
sporadically.
too, but I barely noticed her at first. Poppy left the room for a while. When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too. Penelope arrived shortly after that, with Felix in tow. I thought that was odd. You don't normally see the two of them together. Felix took charge. There was nothing else I could do to help. I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything. I found her pacing back and forth around the stone square. When I approached her, she snapped at me. I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
Okay.
All right. So that's a really good detail. We were kind of talking over it, but I want to make sure that you picked up on that. That him and oh well, never mind.
It's up in the fellow tower.
This could be interesting.
I would say later.
You would say later?
I would say later. You can always go. Once again, there is no time limit to this per se. It's just what order you want to do the stuff in. I say let your natural curiosity guide you. If you wanted to go there, you could still do that. I just wanted to kind of get my own words in edgewise for a second here. So
Yeah.
after the event, remember, this is your classic locked room murder, right? The only two people that were in the room were Freya and Flora, right? So the first two people to make it to the room where the event occurred were Poppy and Fitz, where Fitz used his obviously large stature to break down the door, where he saw that Flora was essentially knocked out, like just kind of like laying down. Or not laying down, like sat down against the wall.
Yeah.
So I just
Okay,
wanted to make
she's
sure that was
underneath.
understood. All right, where do you want to go? So his room is the one in the middle left. Of the inside. When I say middle, I mean middle of the house. My bad. Yeah.
Let's go to the library first. I like going. I think I'll just go up.
I would say that's a good idea. It's actually very funny because you're almost perfectly following my exploration so far, which makes this really easy for me.
Books about ancient history, I think?
These books are ancient history. I think they'd crumble into dust if I tried to pick them up.
Good excuse.
Thanks. Books about geography.
Skip.
Wow.
Books about insects.
Well, theoretically. There's not a single book on that shelf.
Huh.
Oh, I'm assuming Freya has them in her.
It's true. Freya was
Books
into
about
insects.
space.
They're relatively untouched. Is that a snow globe?
Of sorts.
It's the
Hey, look
tower.
at that. It's a model of Tangle Tower. There's the lake and those weird mountains. What are you thinking?
That would make an amazing souvenir.
But hey, look, here's like a rendition of the painting.
It's a rendition of the painting, and once again, it is interesting to note that it is speculative, right?
What's in those bottles?
I'm not sure. Soil samples?
Books about birds.
The shelves are about half empty.
Oh, so you're the shelves are half empty kind of person.
You knew this already.
Yeah.
Books about nature?
Okay.
A book on the floor. Fundamental entomology.
I guess somebody dropped it. It's an illustrated book about birds.
And it's been left open. Looks like somebody was halfway through reading it.
Or It was left open for us to find.
Ever so slightly unnerving.
Bird book. The ink dip is a remarkably intelligent bird with a very long lifespan, even among avian mystids. Other birds are often aggressive towards it, and the ink dip lives most of its life alone. It is it has peculiar feeding habits, and usually only eats the seeds of the Tantum amica pictured in the thing.
Yeah. Oh!
It's an illustrated
Wait.
tour. It was left
Ever so slightly unnerving.
What?
It looks like a knife.
Oh, very interesting.
So she was holding a bird feather. Maybe.
Maybe.
A chalkboard.
Is this a library or a classroom?
Math. It may not even be math, but it looks like math.
You would know if it's an actual puzzle if the lock symbol shows up in the top right.
So we're still looking for A.
I'm not sure I
Well-
learned anything from that.
Oh, I need to remind myself though,
Is
if
this a
that's a thing I
library?
can look at, I can click on it.
Any idea what this means?
Not a clue.
Math.
Don't look at them for too long. You'll give yourself a headache.
I'm
Okay.
not sure I learned anything from that.
Okay, well that was
Are you ready to talk to Saba? I mean, Fifi?
I would expect bacteria of that nature to thrive in these conditions.
Excuse me.
Taking all the environmental factors into account, there must be something I am still missing.
May
You
I
don't
talk to you?
talk like this, but
Miss?
you sound like this.
She knows we're here.
Oh,
She
do I
just
sound
doesn't
like this
care.
to you?
I am a detective, and I need to talk.
Correction, you do not need to talk to me,
Oh no? How come?
because I am not a suspect. I am completely innocent of any and all crimes.
Thanks for letting me know.
So I sound like a
Speaking of
robot
which,
to you.
You have now been at Tangle Tower for over 20
Nasally
minutes.
robot, yeah.
Surely you have already reached a sturdy hypothesis.
A hypothesis about the murder?
Yeah, come on, Grimoire, hurry
About
up.
the
My
murder.
apologies. Unfortunately, protocol dictates I must at least meet all the suspects. And that includes you. So, could you tell me your name?
Fifi Fellow, microbiologist, inventor, innovator.
Scientist.
Fifi, hello.
You will need to be more specific. Oneself cannot be summarized in a single response without doing one a great disservice.
So true.
Well, first of all, you're a fellow. So does that make you the daughter of...
Correct. My father and mother are named Flora and Felix, but you need not question either of them. It will only waste valuable time. Neither of them are capable of murder.
Thanks for the tip.
Fifi, you said you were a micro... something or other?
Microbiologist, but it is an insignificant label. My studies cannot be categorized in any one recognized field.
What made you want to become a scientist in the first place?
I harbor an intrinsic fascination with the microscopic. I constructed my first one at age 10.
Constructed a microscope?
Correct.
And what's that thing on your head? Did you make that too?
My eyesight began to deteriorate when I turned 12. Not satisfied with the eyeglasses prescribed to me, I designed this custom lens instead. It automatically adjusts based on the surrounding light conditions.
Does it glow red when you get angry?
Okay.
No, but that would be most amusing. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about... Wait, that's what I'm supposed to ask you.
Yes, however, you were too slow.
You fancy yourself a detective too, Fifi?
I just need to know what happened.
Me too. So talk.
Fine. I knew ahead of time that Freya was going to be busy with her painting all day, so I had planned to spend the afternoon with Poppy. I was in the library all morning preparing the equipment for an experiment, only to find out that Poppy had made other plans and she was in fact planning to ignore me completely.
Oh.
So what did
Oh.
you do instead?
I locked myself in my room and cried.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
Okay.
that.
Why?
I don't know, it just sounds kind of sad.
It is not unusual.
Oh. Good.
That's unfortunate. See, but now the thing is like I would have to go back and ask about like these
You
two
do.
eventually, and
It is true.
okay. Let's
Name, Haksha. Age, unknown. Profession, private detective. Likes, quote, being left alone. Dislikes, quote, being constantly badgered by a weirdo nerd with a clipboard. Name, Flora Fellow. Age, 44. Profession, unknown. Likes, unknown. Dislikes, unknown.
Isn't she your mother? How do you not
Yeah, I was
know
just about to say that.
anything?
I believe other people may have discovered methods of reaching her, but I have little capacity for interpreting nonverbal communication.
And how long has Flora been non-verbal?
She has always been quiet, willing to speak when necessary, but not more.
So what happened to make her stop talking entirely?
She suffered a great loss, something she has been unable to move beyond.
Real quick, can you go to your evidence? Like not here, but like can you go to your regular evidence and see? I thought it said that Flora was 58.
Well, we can check that afterwards.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. But
Name, Freya Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, artist. Deceased. Understand this. Most people find me difficult. They exhibit a noticeable degree of discomfort when talking to me. There it is. Freya, who had a way of being an exception to any given rule, was not at all like this. She is very important, and I will not rest until I understand what has happened to her.
Did you spend a lot of time with Freya recently?
I will say this. In the past year, Freya became 1. Increasingly independent, and 2. Increasingly isolated.
Do you know why?
I do not. If you are looking for a speculative, empathetic opinion, try asking Poppy instead.
The three of you are friends.
We are of a similar age, and all highly gifted. 1 scientist, 1 artist, and 1 musician.
Sounds like quite a team.
interesting.
Okay.
Name, Fitzfellow. Age, 24. Profession, cryptobotanist. Likes soil,
Crypto-
dislikes electric lights.
Hang on. Cryptobotanist? I thought he was just a gardener.
That may well be his preferred label. Mine, however, is more accurate.
Do you and Fitz not see eye to eye, Fifi?
We do not.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. He's well over 6 foot and you've got to be just barely 5.
So what's your problem with him?
Oh my god.
Exactly 1 week ago, I witnessed him sneaking up Pointer Tower. He was making every effort to avoid detection.
So?
He was also carrying a knife.
Interesting.
Okay.
Name, Fiona Fellow. Age, 19. Profession, amateur microbiologist. Likes, the meaningful archiving of information. Dislikes, the superfluous window dressing accompanying the majority of human contact. Notes, kindly
Okay.
disregard the polysyllabic form of my given forename and refer to me instead as Fifi.
How come you prefer Fifi?
How come you prefer Grimoire?
How are you related to the other fellows?
Fitz is my cousin. His father, a man named Flint, was my uncle.
Was?
I do not know if Flint is alive or not. He left Tangled Tower a long time ago.
And what about Freya? How are you related to her?
We share exactly 1 grandparent.
Okay.
Do you know who was reading this book?
It belongs to my mother.
And she left it in the library?
No, my mother has not been in the library for some time.
Well, okay. That makes even more sense now that that thing she was holding was the
fruit here
feather.
has a unique chemical makeup. It makes them completely pointless. Unless you wish to cut it down and sell it as a precious stone.
It's not edible.
Depends
On what?
on the structural integrity of your teeth.
See, you can eat it if you try hard enough.
I mean, you can also eat rock salt.
This belongs to Professor Pointer, does it not?
No, I don't think so.
Who else would own such a pointless little telescope?
It's a telescope.
Oh, yes. It has a telescopic lens. It could only be used for looking at things that are far away.
So that's why Fitz thought that it would have belonged to Fifi, because he did not recognize the difference between a telescopic lens and a telescopic lens, right? The idea being seeing small things versus seeing far things.
Ah, okay, understood.
Fifi, did you test the red paint in this pot?
Yes, I did. I discovered it too was blood, not paint.
A whole pot full
Whoa.
of blood?
Not a whole pot. It is only partially full.
Yeah, but still. Doesn't that freak you out?
No. In fact, it may be considered rather reassuring.
But why? Why is it
The red
rather
paint on the
reassuring?
brush is not paint. It is blood. Same for the palette.
So Freya added the blood to the painting herself?
Or blood got on the brush and palette some other way?
I do not know the answer.
Wonder why Fitz was like, there's something weird about that.
Is she laughing?
Okay.
The gramophone belongs to Poppy, but I believe she gave it to my mother, and my mother often loaned it to Freya. Or maybe it is the other way around.
When did it get cracked?
I cannot pinpoint it exactly. All I know is that it must have happened sometime in the last 2 days. That belongs to my mother. I think she must be fond of eggs. There are a number of egg-shaped carvings to be found in the garden and in the Grand Hall.
Yeah, what's the deal with all the eggs?
Some people just like eggs. Freya is normally highly skilled at capturing someone's likeness, but in this painting, she has accidentally made Flora look quite young.
I think she was just being kind.
Why is that kind? Anyway, I'm far more interested in what Flora is holding. I performed the test on the red paint myself. I discovered that it was in fact not paint, but blood.
What made you want
Yeah,
to
I
test
think we
it in
got
the first
that.
place?
It was Poppy. She told me she thought the painting looked like a bloody knife. I told her not to be ridiculous. My mother owns no such knife. But then I noticed that the color was slightly too dark, and the substance itself was overly viscous.
You noticed that just from looking at it once?
Of course.
She's like, yeah.
Well,
Duh.
I think this is one of the
Idiot.
reasons why. I mean, there's other reasons which we'll see later, but like, I think this is why they made her a microbiologist. Is the idea that she notices little details. Get it?
Yeah.
Curious. The statue itself does not interest me, but I do wish to know about those symbols on the harp. Have you deciphered their meaning yet?
We're working on it.
We are?
This belongs to Poppy. In fact, she owns a number of cassette tapes.
What happened to it, though?
It has been left underwater for an extended period of time.
Right. But why?
I do not know why. I require facts. What do you know?
Well, we know Freya was stabbed with a knife, and then she fell.
Correction. She was stabbed with something. There was no knife found at the crime scene,
Apart from the one in the painting.
which as a mere abstract representation does not count. Nobody has ever been stabbed by the concept of a knife. What is your opinion of Tangle Tower?
Oh, it's impressive. Elaborate gardens, unique architecture.
Must be worth a fortune.
Why do you ask, Fifi?
I am the heir of the Fellow family and the Remington family. This makes me the sole beneficiary of Tangle Tower.
That's quite an inheritance.
They can't make you do anything, Fifi. If you don't want the house, just tell them. Or just sell it. Who cares?
You sound like her.
You sound
That's
like
I mean,
her.
not gonna lie. Just on like a humanistic level, that is a lot, right? Like this individual who clearly is very socially inept but intellectually robust, let's say. The idea of being like, hey, this enormous house and fortune that contains all of our family history, yeah, it's gonna be your responsibility in a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
All right, time for a statement.
I was in my room. The lights were off and the door was locked. Someone began banging on the door. I ignored it until the someone began shouting at me. I opened the door. Poppy came into my room. Her makeup was leaking. She told me Freya was dead. I did not believe it. I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
What?
She insisted that we go up to Flora's tower. We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs. When I saw Freya lying on the floor, I was completely and utterly devastated. Then, I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting. Poppy and I took the sample back downstairs to the library. We performed a test and found out that it was, in fact, blood.
You performed that scientific test immediately, even though you were feeling so upset?
Of course. Why would one affect the other?
Fifi's bedroom should be unlocked now.
Can't wait.
I would appreciate looking at the case file. Yeah, died whilst painting Flora Fellow 58. Fifi said that she was 44.
45, yeah, I don't... Does she not
That's
even know
either
her
a
age?
discrepancy or she did that interview 14 years ago when she was 5. Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That might just be a discrepancy, but I'm not sure. I don't know. Do you wanna take a moment to digest, or just wanna keep going? I would say the other ground floor room seems good, but I just wanted to. I didn't know if you wanted to take a minute just to kind of like wrap your head around, because you've talked to like you haven't even talked to half the characters yet, but there's still a lot that's happened.
Yeah, I feel like I need to go and just speak to everyone real fast, and then go back to the beginning and talk to this
You have
detective about
described
everyone
the
else.
video game, yes. That is the game.
because I was like, oh god, I need to go back to people to talk about the previous people I've met, and I'm
and
like,
the
oh my God,
evidence
that's
that
a
you
lot.
find.
Yeah, so better to just.
If you want to just keep plowing ahead, that's fine. I just want to make sure that you're digesting stuff. Clearly, you're thinking about it, but I just want to make sure that you're remembering stuff, because it's going to be like a week before we come back to this.
We'll do a wrap up combo at the end, so. We found Gothic Gardevoir.
The Pokemon fandom is freaking out.
Are they paper lanterns?
Whatever they are, I like them. It's like a little parade of floating spirits.
Oh, whatever it is, it's playing a little trumpet.
Well, it is the music room. He's got to practice.
What's with all the broken glass?
Horn statue. A shiny statue of a strange creature holding a large horn. There's a noticeable crack along the length of the statue's horn. Inside the horn and on the ground below are various shards of cracked glass.
Something's cracked.
Who plays the violin, I wonder?
It's pretty dusty, so I'm guessing nobody.
1 old wooden bookcase.
Yep.
25 dry old books.
Mm-hmm.
4 lit candles.
Yeah.
Am I the only one seeing the problem?
Yep, I saw it. I was like, this is a fire hazard.
Yeah, but it looks cool.
Sheet music. It's handwritten.
That's a lot of notes. Looks pretty difficult.
Probably why they're on the floor.
The amount of foliage in this house is crazy.
I just love how, like,
It's a globe.
this song starts with piano, since clearly Poppy's the one playing it. But then as you listen, like, the horns and the violins come in, and it's like, wait a minute, where the fuck is that coming from?
It's one of those big pianos with the open lids.
Don't touch it.
Why not?
Might be haunted.
Oh.
Are you a ghost?
Sally! That's rude! Unless she is a ghost.
It may come as a disappointment, but I am alive.
Ah,
That makes you a suspect, I'm afraid.
I know.
what's your name?
My name is Poppy. I'm a pointer. And a pianist.
We'll need to ask you a few questions about Freya.
I know.
Hey, you're pretty good.
All in the wrist. And 13 years of dedicated practice.
So she's been playing
it's like a
piano
part.
since she was 6.
Dedication.
I'm just me.
I
There's nothing
do-
to know.
How are you
Oh, no,
related to
wait.
the other pointers?
My father is Percival Pointer. The professor spends most of his time hidden away in his tower. Barely speaks to anyone these days. Especially not the fellows.
Do you get on with the fellows?
2 of them. Fifi and Freya are my closest friends. We all turned 19 last year.
Do people ever leave Tangle Tower? I don't mean to be rude. It's just, if you're 19...
You don't have to answer that, Poppy.
It's a fair question. I'd like to move away. Definitely. Fifi, Freya, and I would often talk about it, argue about it. Freya wanted to leave, but Fifi... Things are more complicated for her.
What about now?
After what happened, I really don't want to stay here much longer.
Okay. Fair.
3.5 hours of piano practice, soon as I wake up. Same as always.
3.5. Does that not hurt your hands?
Sure.
And you do this in the music room?
No, I prefer to practice in my room. When I make mistakes, I like to make them in private.
What did you do after that?
I was supposed to meet Fifi in the library, but I totally forgot. When I finally got down there, she'd already gone. I checked her bedroom, but it was locked.
Was Fifi not in there?
No idea. She keeps her door locked either way. So I went back upstairs and out into the moonlight garden.
The what?
The little garden on the roof outside my room.
Was it just you up there?
No. Fitz came outside after a while. His room's on the other side. He's been teaching me about flowers.
So, did you talk to him?
Not really.
You ignored each other.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out that I really like how one of these characters is dead, so you're never going to talk to her, but then the other 2 19-year-olds are both voiced by like 20-something-year-old voice actresses.
Well, that's the fun thing about voices, right?
I know, it's just one of those things. It's just one of those things where it's like I don't know. Me and my nephew have been watching Ben 10 since he never watched it before, and it's just like, I don't know. I just had the thought of like, who voiced Gwen Tennyson? Because she was also supposed to be like 10 or 11 when that show, like canonically in that show, and I looked up and like the voice actress back then was like almost 30.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, that's voice acting, I understand, but it's just weird because, like, I don't know, Poppy does not sound like a 19-year-old. Poppy sounds awesome, just not a 19-year-old.
Needless noise from tongues expel, unless within the mouth they dwell. The spoken
Okay.
word, unfit for dealing with the shifting form of feeling, stand unblinking in the face of taciturn and soundless space.
Okay, she's describing people as poetry. Okay, I got it.
With surging tide, the waves are thrown, an entity of all its own. But on its surface you may see, reflected in the waters be, the orchestrator, pale and still, pulling strings, enacting will.
What an interesting interpretation. Okay.
Hard of head, but free of mind, unimprisoned, unconfined. With starry eyes, she sees beyond, behind our walls, beneath our pond. A soul untied, it's hers, it's free. Was then, is now, will ever be.
You know what bothers me looking
What?
at her head? You know what I think
What's
of?
her skull?
Yeah, but like, you know what that reminds me of?
The curry guy from, what you calls it? Ghost Trick?
No. Something
it now?
from a movie.
I don't know. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. Yes. The alien skull. Ah, that was pretty good, Zach. Second guess. Second try. It's just,
Between
it's
the
so...
lips, a silver spoon, a story written all too soon. The chosen dwelling of her heart, unjustly chosen to depart. Lost her liberation lays in the center of a maze.
Okay.
Softly does the flower grow, all in time, and time is slow. Rest a seed within the earth, but do not rush its gentle birth. Hour by hour, day by day, tune your heart to nature's way.
Okay, that seems, yeah.
That's me. I'm on a list of murder suspects. Always thought that would be kinda cool, but it's just tedious.
Falls a little short, doesn't it?
So the joke there, by the way, is that Sally in the last Detective Grimoire game was a murder suspect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll be talking like towards the end of this game. I'll be talking about the other game. We won't be playing it, but I'll be talking about it because there's actually an enormous amount of connective tissue between the two. And then finally, I wanted to say, so obviously you can see that she has poetry for everybody that's not herself, right?
Yeah.
Dude, listening to those now, that's crazy. Like a lot of that is just like, oh, whatever. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me when you first hear it. Now that I know the game and we go back and we listen to it, it's like, bitch, how do you know all this?
Well, some of it I understood. I mean, obviously there's like
No, I mean, but what I mean to say is that there was extra stuff in there that it's like, what the fuck? How did you know this?
Yeah. I figured there must be some things, that she probably just knows that it's all in the poetry,
Look at
man.
me. I didn't break it.
Does anybody else use the music room?
Yes. I don't know who, but I can tell when somebody else has touched the piano. That belongs to Flora, I think. Oh, you've been to the greenhouse? What did you think?
Impressive, I guess. But kind of unsettling with Fitz lurking in the shadows the whole time.
Yeah, he does that.
He's a
Have you
shadow
been in
lurker.
Fifi's room?
No? Should we have?
No, it's just... It looks like something she'd use, don't you think? Why is the glass cracked down one side?
Natural wear and tear, maybe?
No, there's a lot of cracking going
Freya
on
took
in this
good
place.
care
It's
of her
weird.
stuff. Freya would always load up the palette with all the exact colors she was gonna need. I think it helped her zone out and focus on the actual painting itself. Like getting all your sheet music lined up
Okay,
before
well
playing a long
let's
piece.
pause.
Right.
I'm gonna.
So the
Okay, if
blob
she
of
used
black
everything,
paint
why
in
is the
middle,
yellow there?
That was for painting Flora?
Interesting.
Flora's dress, yeah.
I mean, we know that it wasn't finished, right?
I do.
Yeah, because she just said she uses everything.
Does this
So
belong to you, Poppy?
Now that's not really my style, is it?
But who else would own a tape like this?
Literally anybody? It was my mother's originally.
So, why is it up in Flora's room?
She just gets the most use out of it. Freya would borrow it too sometimes. What was inside?
Nothing.
Huh. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like Flora was holding a knife, with blood on the tip.
You don't think that anymore?
No, it was a stupid thing to say. The room was dark. I was in shock. I'm just an idiot.
But it was blood on the tip. If you hadn't said anything, maybe Fifi wouldn't have checked.
Exactly. It's stupid.
But we would have missed out on an important clue.
Is it a clue? Really? Tell me how it's a clue. Tell me how it helps. Nothing about the knife makes any sense. It's just freaking everyone out. Wish I'd never said anything.
I'm sure it'll, something will pop up.
I'm sure it's not like quintessential to solving the puzzle.
Don't you think that's weird? That the letter isn't addressed to anyone? Or signed by anyone?
Someone's being deliberately secretive.
Or they're trying to manipulate you?
What do you make of the statue?
I know that's the only harp in the whole of Tangle Tower. I've never actually seen a real one.
Maybe it's from before your time.
Oh, definitely. You see how old this statue is?
What about the symbols? One of them looks like piano keys.
Yeah, weird. This is mine.
Really?
No, well, yes, it was. I gave it to Freya about a year ago.
What was on it?
Nothing. It was blank. Freya said she wanted to record something.
Any idea how it ended up underwater?
Maybe someone wanted to destroy it, but got really lazy. There's something I noticed about Freya's knife wound.
Hit me.
From what we could tell, the blade went in at an exact right angle, perpendicular to Freya's body. And there's only one small pool of blood. Nothing on Freya's hands, or anywhere else. The whole thing is just a little too peaceful.
So that is actually a good piece of information. Because, you knew it was a knife wound or whatever to the chest, but she is telling the truth. The knife wound is perfectly perpendicular to her chest. So it's not like it came up or from the side or something like that. Like because I remember that's what I thought at first. I was like, oh, someone came up behind her, covered her mouth, and then stabbed her in the chest or whatever, right? But that would have came at like an angle. So.
Yeah, so maybe she stabbed herself.
So
Who knows?
She doesn't have any blood on her hands. The blood spatter would have got on her hands.
3 pointers and 5 fellows. 4 fellows.
What's the connection between them?
Grim.
There isn't one. Not really. It was all built by the Remington family. Flora is a Remington, originally. So was Primrose, my mother. She married into the Pointers, and Flora married into the Fellows.
So the fellows and the Pointers own the house now?
Flora owns the house. Depending on who you ask, that means her husband Felix owns it too.
What about your father?
His claim over the house kind of fell apart after my mother left.
Where's your mother now?
No idea.
Ooh.
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds. I've been trying to decide how to describe it, but I'm struggling. It was like something drilling into a piece of metal, but different. Worse. I was pretty sure it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there to check. Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. I knew Freya and Flora were both supposed to be in there, so I made Fitz kick down the door. I went inside.
Nice.
Freya was lying on the floor.
Flora was in the room too?
Yeah. I think she realized what had happened at the same moment I did. I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi. Her door was still locked, but I knocked and shouted at her. Eventually, she let me in. The lights were off, but I could see she'd already been crying. I told her what had happened. She didn't believe me.
And then she punched you in the face.
First time I've ever seen her angry. I dragged her out into the hall. My father was there
nothing
too.
about being punched in the face?
The 3 of us went back up to Flora's tower. Then Felix arrived. He had Penny with him. Fifi had this idea. She wanted to do some kind of scientific test. She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes. After she was done, she went back upstairs and I went back to my room.
That's it?
That's it.
There you go.
All right.
And you now have access to her room.
Unlocked.
I wonder what's in there.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel, Sabo, but you have like a whole hour left. At minimum.
So this is Fitz. This is Poppy.
And then the one bottom left, or the one underneath Fitz's room is Fifi.
It's Fifi.
The one
we don't
directly
have access
across
to the
from
garden
Fifi
thing.
and the one above that, you don't know. And then there's one room that you haven't unlocked yet.
I would say let's go here, because these are bedrooms, and we know that.
Sure.
I wish I had access to the... Let me go up here, actually, real fast.
In the tower?
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing yellow here. Except this. And this. But clearly the painting, like the perspective of the painting, doesn't include anything yellow.
Supposedly,
It
Freya
is
was
true.
looks like she was still.
Didn't even get a chance to clean her brush.
Okay, well, I guess just a bit of information I'm aware of, but... Okay. Aviary? She's got bird hands? Oh, this is... What's her name? Penelope?
I believe she goes by Penny, but yes.
Okay.
Check out that butterfly.
Looks evil.
Wow, judgmental.
It's true, though.
Same way you look
The
evil.
little writing
I
book.
don't... What?
It's kind of cute.
I'm French-shaped. Fuck you.
There's nothing written in the book, although someone's torn a page out of the middle.
What's with those little windows down there?
I think they're there for draining rainwater.
Oh. Bird diagrams. Hand painted.
They're beautiful. Someone really knows their stuff.
A rather magnificent bush. Somewhat cruelly confined to a stone pot.
There's a letter P carved into the side.
Bird diagrams.
They're beautiful.
No,
Someone...
I was trying to click bird,
I
but
don't
okay.
like mirrors. They steal your soul.
How do you get your hair so symmetrical without using a mirror?
I do it by weight. I can feel if one side is heavier than the other.
Nice.
It's such a fucking ridiculous
They're bird
statement.
cages, but the birds are coming and going freely.
Is that a metaphor?
Oh, it totally is.
Oh, that's that bird.
And
Ah!
especially fancy cage.
And it's home to 3 especially fancy birds.
Fancy birds. 3 brightly colored birds in a heavy, ornate cage.
I don't think there's anything else besides talking to her.
Oh, just beautiful. What is it?
Huh?
Sort of a delicate jade, but with a little seafoam green, is that right?
Sorry?
Your hair!
Her hair.
dear. Which shade do you use? It's lovely. And that shape. You're really pushing the envelope.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can to offset Grimoire's beige on brown ensemble.
Detectives don't need to be brightly colored. We prefer to blend into the background.
Oh, you're the detective? Delightful. Penny Pointer, pleasure.
Is that short for Penelope?
Officially, yes, but I never can be bothered with all 4 syllables of it. Penelope sounds a little ostentatious coming out of the mouth, don't you think?
Sure.
Says the
Okay.
lady that's wearing bird wings.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm like, Penelope definitely fits your vibe more than Penny.
I love how, like, and we could talk about this a little bit later, because I know way back when I played this originally, I showed you, like, shots of, like, the art from the original Detective Grimoire game that's also available
Yeah.
on Steam. They got, like, a new artist. Not that the original artist didn't do a great job. I think the original artist did a great job in terms of, like, tone and whatnot. But dude, I fucking love this character's art. I love all of the characters' art in this game, because they're all, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like this weird combination of, like, really evocative in terms of, like, their personality, as well as just being really simplistic, right? Like, you know, you look at, like, this lady's necklace, for example. It's literally 4 circles, but it gives me so much detail about who this bitch is as a person. You know?
20-something, Aquarius, love to travel, and nearly all of my friends are birds.
Travel? Where to?
Anywhere at all, as long as it has species worth studying. Ornithology, they call it. I call it the only thing I've ever been good at.
And have you studied the birds here at Tangle Tower?
But of course! Where else do you think I developed my love of the field? No matter where I go, I always find myself coming home to Tangle Tower.
Because of the birds.
Oh, no, because of him! Silly to admit, but I suppose I can't bear for us to be apart.
Who are you talking about?
Bird on her head.
Oh, don't you know? My fiancé,
Oh,
dear
okay.
Fitz.
Well, that could be the
He's
PNF.
not really the traveling type, you see.
Fitz Fellow.
The very one.
You're engaged to a
you okay?
member of the Fellow family? That's interesting.
Just wake up from a nap.
I'm not especially.
You let me know if
interested.
you need to go to the bathroom,
This
okay?
feuding goes on between our two families. Fitz and I find it much easier to
Also,
stay out of
stop
it
looking at the
altogether.
door like there's a fucking murderer in the house, okay? He's like doing the pointer
I
dog
awoke
thing.
early
He's just like
and headed down into
super
the greenhouse
straight
to see
looking at the
Fitz.
wall.
He's always there. Crack of dawn, every morning like clockwork.
How come?
It's where he's happiest. That and he has a great deal of work to do every day. Watering, pruning, mulching, whatever that is.
Do you help him?
Whatever that
with
is.
the work in the greenhouse?
Oh, no. I wouldn't dream of it. I'd probably break something.
So, you stayed with Fitz the whole day?
No,
I will say this is a really weird combination.
rather.
Fitz, the extremely like conserved gardener, and Penny, the extremely extravagant bird lover.
What did you do after that?
Yeah.
Let's see.
I wonder if maybe there's another person in the house that Fitz hangs out a lot with that matches his personality more.
Officially 4, but in truth it's more like 400.
Can they not feed themselves?
Of course, and they often do. But I think they just like the company. As do I.
Okay.
I'm gonna mute myself for a bit. I'm gonna let you do your own thing. I'm gonna go see if the dog needs to go out.
Alrighty.
A fellow bird enthusiast. She's quite the expert, truth be told. Studied them professionally at one point. I think her father taught her.
Are you friends with Flora?
A little bit.
A little bit friends.
She's one for the peace and quiet. I dare say I'm a little too loud for her.
I can see that.
I do admire her, though, really. Always felt like she could have done better than settle for Felix.
Ouch.
I said it. She's
Okay.
a most unsavory little. She was incredibly rude about my appearance.
Which part?
Oh.
The giant bird arms or...
If I were her, I'd go easy on the judgment of others. I mean, look at her. She looks like the ghost of a scarecrow. I just wish Uncle Pointer would tell her to behave herself.
Professor Pointer? Why him?
Oh, it was Uncle that called her in. She's his responsibility. Did you not know that?
Well, we haven't talked to the man, so I don't know.
She'd sit in the aviary, first thing in the morning, and paint the birds. Sometimes she'd ask me their names.
Freya was interested in studying bird species too?
No, just wanted to know their names. Isabelle, Clementine, Myrtle, Lysandre, Genevieve.
Got it, thanks.
For my 21st birthday, she gave me a framed painting. All the birds from a single spring, with their names written underneath. I can't begin to tell you how much I've treasured it.
Sounds like you two were close.
I feel like I always struggled to articulate my admiration for her, but she had a way of understanding unspoken things.
Okay.
Oh, she's beautiful! Who is she? Wait, is that me?
Uh-huh. Nice.
She mostly ignores me, if I'm honest.
How come?
Well, we're not quite on the same intellectual level.
Oh. You don't need to.
No, it's quite all right. I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, what an...
Oh, did you talk to
Interesting thing.
Poppy already?
Yeah, a little bit.
And did you make any notes of what she told you?
Yeah, I did.
Lovely. Burn them. It'll all be lies.
Why would Poppy lie to us?
Because that's what she does. She's a snake. Looks like one, too.
Don't you think you're being a little unfair, Penny?
She started it.
Okay, so
Isn't he strapping?
He is big.
And so brooding.
Kinda sulky, yeah.
I can never tell what's going on in that beautiful head of his.
It just sounds like you don't know
Okay.
him very well.
I don't remember asking for your input.
all right, okay. You do you.
I must say the girls are awfully well behaved today. I think they know we're in the presence of company.
They belong to you. Why do you keep them in a cage?
They need a special diet, particular treatment. I let them out to fly occasionally, of course. But they're all one of a kind. I couldn't let anything happen to them.
Do they have names?
Of course. Let me introduce you to Tabitha, Tamara, and Tatiana.
Okay, so I'll
I've
tease.
forgotten all 3 of those names.
Which one is which?
Oh, that's simple. Tatiana is the oldest, Tabitha is the most patient, and Tamara has the best sense of rhythm.
It still doesn't tell me anything,
Glad
but
we cleared
okay.
that up.
What about the one on your head?
On my head? He's just my hat. He doesn't have a name. Who would name their hat?
What a weird.
Haven't seen
Okay.
this one in a while. He lives in the music room, doesn't he?
Currently.
Somebody taking an interest in extinct animals.
Extinct.
Oh, yes. The book is very old. Most of the birds in it are long gone.
Well, what about this bird, though?
It's unfortunate.
The ink dip.
This one, well, it was thought to be extinct for a long time. Then one was found here at Tangle Tower.
So it's not extinct.
You misunderstand. It was the last one. The very last.
Oh.
So no more.
Delightful. More of a gemstone than a fruit, isn't it?
Inedible, too, I think.
Yes. At one point, I thought Fitz might be growing them to sell them. But honestly, I think he just likes the way they look. I don't know what that is. Freya doesn't
Hello,
take
I'm
good
back.
care of her pains, does she?
Hello.
But then she was always rather bohemian, had her own priorities.
Quick, before you proceed, anything interesting happened while I was gone? Any revelations?
Um,
I'm assuming you did,
Penny
since you're
and-
on evidence of assuming you already did all suspects.
yeah, Penny and Poppy don't get along.
Penny and
So-
Poppy don't get along. So essentially the sisters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. That's fair. Anything else? I mean, that's significant in and of itself.
Professor brought in Hawkshaw. So
Really?
we're gonna have to. That's what. Well, what is it? Penny said something about him. Whether or not he's her client is a separate matter, but like apparently they're connected somehow.
Interesting. All right, cool. The other thing I wanted to say, because I didn't know this, once again, this was back from when I was doing like a lot of looking into other TTRPG systems to try to find something that I liked. I was checking out Call of Cthulhu, and Call of Cthulhu had a lot of like, we'll call it like intellectual stats that you could roll for, right? There was like academics, occult, lore, all this jazz, and then there was one called Bohemian knowledge, which was considered to be similar to, but the opposite of academic knowledge. And I want to ask you, do you know what it means to have Bohemian knowledge?
Sounds more like it would be like plants and stuff like that.
Well, you're probably, because you're thinking like
It's more
botany.
earthly.
So,
Yeah.
so academic knowledge is the idea of it, like, this is studied, this is written, this is like something that, this is territory that is regimented and you're retracing it right up until you're discovering new stuff, right? The idea that if something being bohemian means that it's new, it's fresh, it's original, it's unusual. So the reason I bring this up is that when Penny says that Freya was like, she always had bohemian interests. The idea being that Freya always kind of did her own thing, which I think is obviously pretty accurate to what we've heard so far. I just wanted to bring that up because Bohemia is obviously also a region of the Earth, and that's like, you know, that's like a thing from like the League of Scientists or whatever, that thing in Europe, the League of Academic Scientists or whatever, where they invented the term Bohemian because they were like, oh, ho, ho, look at all of these weird people, they're so interesting.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
rather sad. How terrible.
You recognize it?
The color scheme. 3 different pinks.
3 different pinks.
Poppy's gramophone. She's had it for a long time. As a young child, she'd call it her mama phone, on account of it belonging to her mother.
That's cute.
Oh yes, adorable.
Yeah.
Gaudy old thing, isn't it? Flora seems very fond of it. I've never understood why. But then I could say the same thing about her husband.
Heyo.
Though I'm surprised she doesn't like eggs for as much as she likes birds.
I doubt Freya intended it, but the overall effect is a little unsettling. Don't you think? It's Flora that's the problem. She's an inescapably haunting presence, bless her. Hello. Who penned this juicy little number?
We don't know. It's not signed.
An anonymous letter? Classic clue.
One of the things that people brought up that I thought was kind of interesting, but I understand why they didn't really pursue this. Somebody was saying that it would have been nice if instead of just having the letter as being a thing, if you had like this separate, like similar to how you have your Tangle Tower and then your case file, it would have been cool if you had a third one that was just called documents and you could compare handwriting. Like visibly, you could bring up 2 documents and compare handwriting if it's handwritten, and if it's not handwritten, if it's typed like on a typewriter, you can also compare typeface, right? And I think one of the developers was like, "That's an interesting idea." Not what we were going for though.
Yeah, we didn't think about that.
I've read about this person somewhere. Don't remember anything about him playing the harp though.
Interesting.
Goodness me. Poppy really doesn't take care of her belongings, does she?
It wasn't in Poppy's room. It was in the little pond in the garden.
Exactly! Hardly the place for it.
Okay.
Finally! I get to see a detective's case file.
That's a very specific thing to be excited about.
Well, only last week I asked that miserable Hawkshaw woman if I could see her case notes.
I'm guessing she said no.
Would have been much more polite if she had just said no. Instead, she was quite rude to me. Accused me of being, what was it? A shallow sensationalist.
Okay.
You know, it's probably quite impressive. To a visitor, fresh eyes and all that.
Not to you?
Try living in it for 20 years. The sheen wears off. If it wasn't for my fits, I'd have little reason to stay.
What about inheritance? You're the next oldest pointer after your uncle, aren't you?
Well, thank you very much for phrasing it like that. But no, any money left in the Pointer family will pass down directly to Poppy.
Is that fair?
I couldn't care less, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Why does it pass direct?
Sometime
Well,
in the evening, I left the aviary
Not sure
and headed
about
back
that.
towards
I mean,
my
we'd have to
home.
look at the
But
imagery, I guess.
in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. He was muttering something. Seemed a bit upset, the poor dear. I followed him down, but the grand hall was empty by the time I got there. Empty aside from Detective Hawkshaw, who was loitering over by the library. I don't know what it was, but she looked a little lost. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower. I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path. For some reason, he was coming out of Fitz's bedroom. He looked rather lost, too. I told him I was looking for Uncle. He suggested we look up in Flora's tower room. We could see from the hallway. The door was off its hinges.
But I
I
thought
knew
he
then
came
something
after.
was terribly wrong.
They were the last 2 to
Later,
arrive.
gazing down on the body of poor Freya.
Okay.
Uncle Pointer was there. Fits too. Standing over in the corner with Fifi and Poppy.
What about Flora?
Of course, silent as ever. Uncle suggested we should leave. Give the others some space, you know. So he and I both returned to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I think that's everything.
Okay.
Wow, look at that face.
We can get into Penny's room now.
Now, like, right now?
I believe that's actually all of the main, that's all of the main displayed
Yeah.
rooms available to you. I wonder if the giant vacant space in the middle of the map will lead to something later.
Yeah, they keep talking about the moonlit garden and stuff like that, which I'm surprised I don't have access to.
Correct. Well, I mean, you have two characters that both said that it connects to their rooms, so that's probably something.
Yeah.
But I will ask you. I mean, you have already taken care of like the far right hand side of the thing. You want to do the left?
Yeah, I was thinking about coming over here. Okay. What a... Oh, bug. Maybe.
It's Freya's bed. A little bit messy.
It's a perfectly healthy amount of messy.
You missed the bug.
Not the kind of lamp I
Yeah.
choose for my bedroom, but fair enough.
It's cool. Looks like old mining equipment or something.
It's a little glass box.
I think it's a vivarium.
Come again?
See the leaves and twigs in there? Might have been for keeping insects.
Might have.
A pillow with a paw print pattern.
It's a cushion.
Yeah, but that doesn't alliterate. Even though we're halfway up a tower, someone's been tracking in mud from outside.
A lot of red.
That's really something.
Why would you want it looming over your bed like that?
Maybe Freya enjoyed the atmosphere it creates.
The atmosphere of chaos and oppression?
Hang on. There's a smaller version down by the floor.
It's a photograph.
Photo of painting. A small photograph of Freya's abstract painting. A piece of adhesive tape is stuck on it. Lines have been drawn with black ink around the edges.
I'm assuming this...
It's a little wooden box for paintbrushes.
To the casual observer, maybe. They're not real paintbrushes. Looks like they're part of some kind of lock mechanism.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Oh. I don't think I can rotate these, can I?
I don't think so.
Nope. Hmm. Swap the brushes in the correct order, arrange the papers to find glue. Clearly. Oh, leg. Doesn't have... Definitely does feel like that. Okay, well, at least I got potentially somewhere with these two. Nope. Nope. Nothing really seems to fit that. Wow. Very loud shuffling noises, thank you. Goes like that. Just don't have enough room to be looking at stuff. I don't look for a weird edge. I don't think these go together like this, but
They don't. I will let you know that you're barking up the wrong tree a little bit. These do fit together perfectly. You've just been moving things around without actually looking at their shape. You were actually had a significant amount of progress earlier and then decided to undo it. So...
there we go.
Huzzah. She did it. The trick with this one, why it was a little confusing, is that none of these, all of the splits in the page are at the middle. It's like a 3-corner split. You see, like pretty much everywhere, where it's like every split
like
is 3 lines.
Yeah.
So that's why it was a little tricky. But now that you have this, now you have to figure out the actual puzzle.
Yay. Oh. So... Huh? Oh, there's 2 greens. Okay. So, we see that first in this column, there is orange. This, I think, appears to be that. You mean that?
Yes.
It's like 3. No, this is like height.
Is it 3?
It's height. So the more towards the end it goes, is the higher the height. But I can't control height, can I?
No.
Yeah. But this shape is... I think I'm tripping a little. These 2 are pink, right? But I guess there's orange brushes.
The color of the like middle, yeah, of like the stick.
So number 3 is that one. Okay. 4 is blue. But we need this to be this shape. This
I think
has
one
to
of my.
stay here.
This is not me making fun of you, by the way. This is me just making observation while I'm shuffling cards. I love how, because this game does not immediately tell you when you've solved the puzzle, I love watching you have the solution or be one step away from it and then systematically disassemble the solution.
Did you find a hint? It looks like a ripped up jigsaw puzzle.
Okay, so orange. So there's only 3 orange.
Correct.
There's only 2 of this shape. So blue could be here. Green, this has to be here because I'm not. I could technically swap these, but hold on.
The information we need.
That's still incorrect.
That's incorrect. Okay.
You need to pay attention to the top row of the clues. You've been ignoring them.
Yeah. So shortest, tallest.
Is that what that
Blue.
means? Does that mean shortest or tallest? Or does that just mean that the first one needs to be short and the last one needs to be tall?
Short and tall.
So did this have any conflicts with anything else?
I don't think so.
A lock.
Yeah.
There we go.
You were literally one away from this, and then you were like, I think that this is wrong, and then this is wrong, and then this is
Think
wrong.
about it. I just gotta think about it. Gotta let me think.
Photograph.
Most of a photograph.
Okay, so that's Fifi
Hey.
and
That is Fifi
Freya.
and Freya, a photograph of 2 young girls, one with red hair and another with green hair. The photo has a large piece missing. It seems to have been ripped off.
I wonder if Poppy was.
It's a fish, I think.
I think it looks more like a whale.
Fine, it's a whale.
Could
What?
also be a shark.
It looks like a fish.
There.
Looks pretty depressed.
He's had a rough couple of days.
Just little trinkets.
Let's leave them alone.
Freya's plants. They must not need sunlight? Do you think this was always supposed to be a bedroom?
I don't know. It is kind of a weird shape.
No windows either. Did Freya paint those animals on her ceiling?
They're kind of simplistic.
Maybe she painted them when she was younger. Drawings, taped up on the wall.
What's that one on the left?
Looks like 2 people standing together in a garden. One of them's holding a red rose.
Okay, yeah. Fitz and Poppy.
A drawing of Poppy and Fitz standing in a garden. Fitz is holding a red rose. A drawing of Fifi, and then a drawing of Detective Hawkshaw.
Okay. I think I got everything in here.
Did you get the rug in the middle?
Yeah, they're like someone was trekking dirt up into the room.
I think it makes sense. I think it makes
This
sense.
was always supposed to be a bedroom?
I don't
No
know.
windows either.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's no one to interview in here because they're dead. Workshop. Look at that lantern in the middle!
That is a pretty derpy looking lantern.
He goes, oh!
Is it full of ale? Or
Right now, it's just full of dust.
oh. Puffer fish?
Yes. It's also a lamp, for some reason. The entire room is made of wood.
Oh, it's not just made of
That's
wood.
also very distinctly yellow.
I think it's the actual hull of a ship.
A little hand-painted statue.
How can you tell it's hand-painted?
Well, the paints are right there on the desk. Also, I mean, no offense, but you can just tell.
Aha! A painted bottle! A wooden carving of a man holding a sword. The bottle has been hand-painted, but the paint is not skillfully applied. Yellow, blue, black, and white paints are found nearby.
What is it?
He's an imp.
What does he do?
Well, if you tell too many lies, he appears at the end of your bed in the middle of the night.
Oh.
Okay.
Nice. A real treasure chest.
How do you know there's treasure in there?
Why else would it be locked? Plus, there's a treasure map hanging directly above it.
Look at it.
All right. This one you can, in fact, do. I'm just going to let you know is pretty hard. Or not pretty hard. It just, like, you have to think about it in a way that I don't like.
Can I... Oh, this.
Yeah.
Here? I4? I wonder what the northeast mean here. That definitely is north, southeast, west.
Nothing.
Did you check the treasure map? And what about that painting on the chest itself?
Painting and the thing. Okay, so I think it's the I4, right? I just don't understand.
Tell me your logic. Don't just stay statements. Tell me your logic.
Well, because of the painting, right? Monster
What
Mountain.
do you see in the painting?
Monster Mountain tree
Where are
birds.
they in relation to each
The
other?
birds. I guess the only thing I'm actually missing is the birds. Could be that we've looked in a mirror.
Why would you make that assumption?
Well, these guys have kind of the same formation, but that's not right.
Do they have the kind of the same formation, or is the sea monster on the wrong side? I guess that's why you're thinking
No,
mirror,
it is.
but there's nothing to indicate that there's any mirrors.
Could be this.
Could be what?
This.
How so?
If you're standing there looking at it from
Looking
like,
which direction?
to the west.
Okay.
Looking west.
Would that make sense?
So I gotta switch this. So that's H6.
That's done it.
Very well done.
All right.
Neat.
The thing that tripped me up was that I didn't realize that those were birds. I thought it was more waves.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was was the thing where it's like I did because clearly you're supposed to do I4 or whatever. Like that's the obvious
And then you're
one.
supposed to be like, what the frick? Why is the
Yeah, you're
S
supposed to be like,
important?
why isn't that working? There's a sea monster on the left, a rock on the right, and then a tree in the middle. What's the problem there? And then it wasn't until much later where I realized, A, there's perspective on the picture, right? The tree is the furthest thing away, and then there's the rock,
Yeah.
and then the thing. But the one that you picked up on, which is the one that you're supposed to realize, is like, oh, there's birds in the picture, and there's birds on the map.
Yeah.
What was in the box?
More wooden models. These are a little different to the one on the desk.
Painted models. A model resembling a child with green hair, a model resembling a woman with gray hair, a model resembling a red and white bird, and a model resembling a broad-shouldered man. The wooden models have been hand-painted. The paint is not skillfully applied. A pot of red paint and a brush is lying nearby. The brush has some dried red paint on it.
So that's Flora. That's that bird. That's
I'll tell you right
gone
now, called ink dip.
Ink dip, yeah. That's the ink dip bird. That looks like Freya. I don't know about this guy.
Can I give you just a little ditty as to who he is? Because
Yeah.
you don't technically get to know in this game. That is Lord Remington, her dad.
Oh. Her family. A
Wait,
lamp.
hold on. You actually just made a statement that I want to make sure you understand. What did you just say?
It's her family.
Is it? One of those people, very distinctly, is not actually related to her by blood.
You mean the bird?
Well, no. The okay, yes. I mean, the bird's not a person. Freya is not her daughter. If you remember from the family tree, it was like her father's first wife had a daughter, and then that daughter had a kid very late in life, which is Freya. So like Freya and Flora are not directly connected by lineage. You have to go back up and then down. So it's like they're family in the sense that they're both, you know, descendants. Well, sorry. She's a descendant of what he calls it, of Remington, whereas she's a descendant of Fellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we summon the genie?
If we get really stuck, sure. That's a massive conch shell. Do you think there's a little crab living inside?
I hope so. Shelf junk.
A pencil drawing of a mountain on a moonlit night.
Mood. The
Mood.
entire room is made of wood.
Oh, it's not just made of wood. I think it's the actual home.
Yeah.
A hammock.
I would politely describe it as lived in.
Okay, I'm trying to see what else I haven't hit.
I do love the idea that you just walked into this guy's room, started fucking with everything, and just ignored how sad he is.
A map with a dotted line.
That's a very boring way to describe a treasure map.
Okay, we'll get to him. Like now.
Sir? Can you hear me? I'm Private Detective Grimoire. I have some questions for you.
Grimoire. Good mysterious name. I'd rather like it. Felix Fellow at your beck and call.
And, this is my colleague, Sally.
Yeah, that's a perfectly good name.
Didn't Penny not like
Thanks.
Felix?
If you would...
Penny didn't like most people, but she particularly called Felix out as being
Well,
fake.
I'm jealous of you two.
Oh yeah? Why's that?
Out here,
Damn it,
so
wait,
Your
motherfuckers.
pepperoni is very
exploring new
stressed
places,
out.
uncovering secret
Which is
hidden
sad.
How much my parents
treasures. That's what life is all about.
Secret rooms?
Generally speaking, you know, and that sort of thing.
Yes,
I like this music that's associated with him.
It's great, right?
So, Felix, what exactly do you, do?
Is it not obvious? I'm an explorer. Explorer/treasure hunter. Yes, well, best in the world.
We're talking like curse statues, spike pits.
It's a little more sophisticated than that. But I've certainly
Less
seen
brute
my
force.
share of danger, if that's what you're asking.
And, if I may ask, when did you retire?
You listen here. I may be between ventures right now, but it's simply not in my nature to stay in one place for too long. I go wherever the winds of destiny take me.
Don't you live here with your wife and daughter?
Yes, well, the Fellow family has certain loyalties, and with Flora the way she is...
Nothing wrong with raising a family, Mr. Fellow.
Don't misunderstand me. Fiona and Flora are my entire world. They are the greatest treasure of all.
Uh-huh.
Did I? Yeah, I haven't met Fiona yet.
Did you not? Look at your suspects. You know who his daughter is.
Just not on here.
No, it is on here. You need to think about it a little bit more.
Oh, Fifi.
There you go.
Because Fifi doesn't go by.
Fifi,
her
as
name.
she said, does not go by her quote-unquote monosyllabic name anymore. She prefers Fifi.
Yeah. Oh, I just canceled off of his sorry, dude.
Why on earth would you want to know about that?
The murder of Freya Fellow. The reason we're here.
Ah, right. Nasty business. Very unfortunate. I regret that I can't be of any help, but I wish you all the best in your investigation.
Okay, like to bold those words. Okay.
Let's go.
It's a simple question, Felix. I'm sure you're up to it.
It's...
In the Mermaid Mask, where clearly they made more technological progress, characters can now do that thing where, like, when they say specific words, it'll, like, warp and change colors, and I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Your room is quite close to Flora's tower. You didn't hear anything unusual?
What qualifies as unusual?
What have you got?
He's definitely withholding something.
Dearest Flora.
Oh, I just realized my mistake as well. I told you before that that little symbol with, like, the dialogue bubble was... Oh, you already visited them? That's not true. That is their statement.
You two still get on?
Of course. What a question.
She hasn't gone quiet on you.
It's true she has an independent streak. She's had it her whole life. She's the youngest of 3. Always something of a lone wolf, you know? Just the way she is.
Lone wolf is putting it lightly. She doesn't seem to want to talk to anyone.
She just likes time to herself, away from the company of other humans.
Other humans?
Well, yes, other people, you know.
Okay.
Quite the character, eh? A fellow member of the Order of the Crimson Cloak.
Is that a real thing?
No, I just meant because we both wear, you know.
Oh,
red
okay.
Has she questioned you yet?
If you call that questioning, she seemed bored by everything I had to say. I heard on the grapevine. Supposedly Hawkshaw is searching for some rare item. Something called the Golden Beetle. Honestly, it's probably a bunch of sensationalist
If they would have said the golden idol, I would have, like, flipped.
Sure. There is no treasure called the Golden Beetle.
How do you know?
Because I would have heard of it.
Okay.
You're the one currently basking in his presence. You tell me.
Let's move on.
Uncommonly skilled as an artist, but Freya was so much more than her talent. She helped me get started with my own painting, you know. It taught me what she knew about wood carving, too. Tremendous patience. She was ever so good with dear Flora.
Freya and Flora were close?
Oh, yes, especially recently.
How are you related
After
to
something.
Freya?
Somewhat distantly, as it happens. My father, Lord Fellow, was her grandfather. Technically, that makes her a fellow. Let's just say there was some discussion over whether she ought to carry the name at all. There's a family tree in the Grand Hall. You should take a look at it.
What about her inheritance?
Freya's parents died when she was around 3 years old. She came to live here shortly afterwards.
Nobody left her a thing?
I'm afraid not. She had no formal claim over anything at Tangle Tower.
Okay.
Penelope seems to have really settled into a groove. She struggled a bit when she was younger, always a little estranged.
How come?
Well, she was mostly raised by her uncle, and he really only makes time for his own daughter. Now, of course, she's bringing the 2 families together through her marriage. It's a nice gesture, heartfelt, but futile.
Oh.
Poppy's a good friend to my daughter, always has been. I think they get on well because they're so different.
Different like how?
Poppy is, she's quite introspective, good with feelings. Fiona, not so much. Still, Poppy always seems to be sulking about something.
The heavy, heavy price of emotional intelligence.
Uh-huh.
Fitz? I don't trust him. He's slippery. Never commits to anything. Brain like an onion.
An onion?
Did you two have an argument?
That has many
No,
layers.
but my daughter doesn't like him at all. And I trust Fiona's judgment entirely. She's a very vigilant young woman.
Fifi didn't say she disliked Fitz, from what I thought.
My
Huh?
daughter Fiona, our little burgeoning genius.
I was
You
like,
met her?
We did. She's going by Fifi these days.
So I've heard. I asked her some weeks ago, what's wrong with your real name? She told me, get this, she wanted a name with an even number of syllables. She makes up the strangest things when she's under pressure.
What makes you think she made that up?
I happen to know the real reason she prefers Fifi over Fiona.
Oh, yeah?
It's what Freya called her.
I see. Okay.
Sorry, I had to go check on the dog.
Yeah.
Did you learn why Fifi refers to herself as Fifi?
Yeah. We just talked about that. But actually, it was more interesting that this guy was like, "Oh, Fifi doesn't like Fitz," and I was like, I don't think that's what she said, right? When we talked to her about Fitz.
She said that like they don't see eye to eye because he saw his thing more as just like he almost sees it as a like mandatory chore. Like if he doesn't take care of the plants and stuff, no one will. Whereas Fifi's like, no, he's a cryptobiologist. He's doing weird shit, and I appreciate that, you know?
Yeah, so it's like, but so it doesn't feel like what he just mentioned about him. He's like, I don't trust him, and Fifi doesn't like him, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like what was happening. But okay.
But it is an interesting perspective, right? Because clearly this guy is, let's say, a little self-focused, perhaps.
What do you think? I had to rush the final touches a little bit. It turned out all right, though.
What's it supposed to be?
It's Flora, of course, surrounded by all her favorite people.
Now, I do want to say, how depressing would it be if your dad was making figurines for your mom and it was all of her favorite people? Her dad makes
not
sense.
Her husband.
A
or
bird
her
which has
daughter.
some significance to her, and then not you.
Yeah.
Like literally
Pretty.
a strange daughter of the family.
Now, I was hopeless when I started, but it didn't take me long to master it, as you can see.
Yep.
Do you paint them yourself too?
I do indeed. Freya kindly taught me the basics. Nowadays, I can make just about anything I can imagine. Of course, this particular model is a self-portrait based on hard fact.
Hard fact, huh? So, you own a sword, Felix?
Of course. I own a great many. But my weapons are stored well away from Tangle Tower. Safety first and all that.
Uh-huh.
Freya was quite the talent. She had a way of capturing the spirits of her subjects. Not in an evil way, in a good way. My daughter Fiona and her best friend, they grow up so fast.
Do you know why it's ripped like that?
Ah, yes. I didn't even notice. No idea.
Oh, his yes, I guess meant, oh, look at that, yeah.
That's one of Freya's
Rip.
paintings, is it not? It's impressive, but a little miserable for my tastes. Bizarre things, aren't they? Penelope seems rather attached to them.
Do you not feel sorry for them in that little cage?
Come now, I'm sure they could leave if they really wanted to.
Oh yes, I was probably away for that part. Did Penny talk about her birds, the ones in the cage?
Yeah. Like
did
the
you
three of
pick
their
up
names.
on that the three birds are supposed to
They all
perhaps...
start with T.
Well,
well?
yes, but what I mean to say is that all three of the birds are, let's say, roughly loosely based on the three daughters that were all friends.
Oh.
If you went back, like, I don't remember the exact phrasing, and if I was here, I would have brought it up then, obviously. But it's like one of the birds Penny describes as being very smart. Another one is has a beautiful chirp, and then the other one is like beautiful colors or something like that. And that's supposed to be Fifi, Poppy, Freya.
Yeah. Okay. That's fun.
My favorite part is that she doesn't tell you which one's which.
Condition. Apart from the crack, of course.
What about those shards on the inside of the horn?
Looks like somebody broke a glass and was trying to conceal the evidence. Cunning. Where did you find that?
It was in the library.
Really? How odd.
I guess this usually stays with Flora.
That looks like it might belong to Fitz. Why don't you ask Fiona about that one? Looks like her area of expertise. Looks like Freya's paints.
Do you know why the pots are cracked down one side?
No, that's very odd. They're normally in excellent condition.
You seem pretty sure about that.
Uh-huh.
It's unlike her to leave paint on the brush.
I think we'll give her a pass, given the circumstances.
Ah, yes. So we shall.
Okay.
That looks like it might belong to Poppy.
Because they're like anything music related is hers.
Flora's quite fond of that old thing. It's in poor shape, though.
Do you know what happened to it?
Can't say I do.
Does Florin normally keep something in here?
She must do, but I admit I've never managed to work out what.
Why not just ask her?
I feel like if somebody keeps something locked away in a ceramic egg, it's because they don't want to be asked about it.
Rules to live by.
Smart.
It would have been a beautiful painting. It's rather a shame Freya was unable to finish it.
Nothing about it seems strange to you.
Well, all these modern paintings are slightly strange, aren't they? The emotion of the piece taking over from, say, anatomical accuracy.
What about the knife in Flora's hand?
A knife? That's what you see?
You don't?
Well, as I was saying, Freya's artistic approach distorts certain shapes. Hard to say exactly what we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm as confused as you are.
Definitely not
Rather
guilty.
ugly, isn't it, as far as statues go? Years of wind and rain have not been kind to it either.
Do you know what it is? The creature, I mean.
It's connected to the Remington family history in some way, but I can't recall. That looks like it might be...
Yep.
What's this?
It's my case file. It's how I know what I'm supposed to be doing.
You mean to say you're bound by the limits of what's written in this little document? Sounds dreadful.
I found it comforting.
Charming, isn't it? Yes. Built by the Remington family originally. Dear Flora's father and his associates.
But now it's owned by you? By the Fellow family?
The Fellows and the Pointers have both come to claim a certain degree of ownership.
And who named it Tangle Tower?
Anyway,
Flora
need to get to
chose
that
the
picture.
name.
What does it mean?
I think it was her intention that it mean nothing at all. Something of a fresh start.
From what?
This really isn't for me to say, but she had some kind of disagreement with her siblings. After they moved away, Flora changed the name of the house. I think perhaps she hoped it would make them feel unwelcome, is less likely to come back.
That's kind of extreme.
Yes, it is rather, isn't it?
Wanted to
But
say that. Wait, sorry, this is detracting from the game slightly. I can't believe that for the third fucking time, members of my family have come home momentarily just long enough to fucking set the dog off again. And I constantly have to
Oh
go
my
back
God.
downstairs and reassure him that he's not alone. God damn it.
yeah.
There's something about the image of Flora in the painting. Something.
Let's ask her about it.
Let me look at this photo. Isn't it weird a little bit that this side's purple and this side's the orange one?
In what way? Because the fellows are typically
technically-
orange and the...
Yeah, the pointers are the blue and purple.
I mean, yeah, but the it might just be like a dichotomy sort of thing, because everything else is correct except for the colors.
Yeah, just
It
the
was dusk. A feeling lingered in the air. Malevolent, perhaps. Uncertain.
What'd you click on?
Abridged version, please.
the statement.
Fine.
Oh, okay.
I heard someone heading down the stairs, just outside my room. The footsteps were calm, orderly, so I thought nothing of it. Shortly afterward, I heard a second set of footsteps, going the same way. This time I could tell just from the sound that something was wrong. So I looked out into the hallway. I got a glimpse of Poppy disappearing down the staircase to the floor below. Didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I thought perhaps she'd had a disagreement with Fitz, as I know those two are close. So I looked into his room, just in case, but it was empty.
Be Fitz and Poppy
as was the
instead.
garden beyond his window. Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading up Fellow Tower to find Professor Pointer, so I escorted her. We went into Flora's room. Poor Freya was laying on the floor. Fiona, Poppy, Fitz, and Pointer were there already. Flora, too, of course. Soon enough, everyone else made their excuses and left.
Including you?
Not I. I stayed. Flora needed me.
Okay.
Interesting.
There's something about Felix's painting supplies. Something suspicious.
So
Let's ask him about it.
you can pause real quick if you want. Well, okay, that works too. So that is a interrogation. So you were doing an interview. Like if you click on him right now.
Now this stuff at the bottom.
Correct. Your suspicion. I would recommend doing as much as possible with the individual people first, and then just sweeping through a bunch of statements in a row, because your brain will be in like that mode, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just go to all the rooms first, and then.
I was saying you only
suss people
have like a handful left. I don't know how long you want to keep doing this for. We're almost at 3 hours, but.
Oh, look, and it tells me where the suspicious things are.
Every character has a suspicion. So you have 6 rooms left ish.
And we only have one other person, so we should be kind of going relatively quickly through the rooms.
Well, you still have to investigate and stuff, but if you want to talk to the last person, go to the top of Pointer Tower.
Yeah, maybe we could, because we did do that.
If you want to do that, if you want to get like the full sweep of people, and then next week we can come back and finish with the investigations and suspicions and stuff, I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
What is it?
Ah, it's clearly some kind of large device.
You're not wrong. You know, I've always wanted one of those.
A mechanical solar system? What would you do with it?
I would look at it.
Okay, we're looking at
Wait
it.
a minute. Earth in the middle, sun on the outside. How old is this thing?
It's a Terra-centric solar system. Incredible. I believe you can also move the sun and the moon, by the way. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, lighting weird thing on the ground. There's always gonna be... Ha! Blind.
Oh!
What a weird shape that is.
I got it.
Excellently done, Saba.
Ta-da.
I'm impressed. Did you hear that? Something unlocked.
There's a little hatch underneath? What's in there?
A bunch of paper. Looks like somebody's research.
They don't call me Detective Saba for nothing. Oh,
Golden
there's the
Beetle.
Golden Beetle.
Various research notes and diagrams. Number 4, the Golden Beetle. Named for its exoskeleton, composed of a mineral approximately 90% identical to gold. Has a lifespan of several years. It fends off predators with a loud hiss, records of over 95 decibels, and by being completely undigestible, rather. This mistid... Pronounce that. You try to pronounce that.
Misted?
Is it just misted?
That makes sense. Misted?
Misted?
Yeah.
It's like a mystic cryptid, so misted. Okay, I'm gonna say misted then. Has a somewhat spurious? I don't know what spurious means. Reputation for causing ill fortune to those who see it.
Zach, guess what color it is?
Yellow.
Yeah.
That is true.
I wonder if Freya happened to see a yellow bug.
I mean, that's a very interesting thought. That is definitely an interesting thought.
Trinkets.
They're clearly gizmos.
Obviously.
There's something kinda disappointing about this room. I just expected a bit more from an astronomy tower.
Oh, does it not compare to all the other astronomy towers you've been to? It's tidier than my desk. The notebook is untouched. It's completely blank.
So, even the most well-used notebooks start off blank.
A picture frame.
With no picture.
Oh, no picture, huh?
It's too cloudy to see any stars right now.
It's also daytime.
Let's at least introduce ourselves before...
Always a good roll.
Okay.
You're good to go.
Listen. Do you hear them? The stars. They're whispering. So quiet, and yet
His
so
eyes
loud.
weird me out.
What are they whispering about?
And his hair is in the shape
Are
of
they
a
spreading
roof.
rumors about us?
I shouldn't think they concern themselves with such insignificance. We are but specks of dust, you and I.
Mm-hmm. Could this speck of dust start by telling me his name?
You find yourself standing in the astronomy tower of one Professor Percival Pointer.
Seems like this tower belongs to the Pointers, and the other one belongs to the Fellows.
Well observed, my dear. Tangle Tower is something of a duality, as it happens. Meaningless boundaries, really. They exist only in our minds.
Helpful.
He looks like a... What is it? The guy that did the painting of the melted clock?
Dolly.
Yeah, Dolly.
He just kind of looked like a
That's what
Dolly
his face
man.
looks like.
Me? Not much to say. Strictly speaking, I'm the current head of the Pointer family. And of course, father to my precious Poppy.
And a professional astronomer?
Oh no, that's just a little hobby. I mean, yes, I've studied the stars for over 35 years.
Oh, yeah,
published
35 years.
17 books.
Just a little hobby.
Sounds like you're quite well known. You must bring in a good amount of money.
Oh dear me, no. My field of research has never yielded any kind of stable financial return. Nor would I expect it to.
So,
I am
financially
nothing but a humble
desperate?
interpreter for the cosmos, working to translate its message so that I may share it with the world.
Cool. Tell the Cosmos I say hi.
Financially in need of
Began as any
money,
other,
maybe.
With blissful, unremarkable routine. I took my usual morning walk around the gardens. Fresh air does wonders for the mind.
Did you see anyone else?
Penelope and Fitz were in the greenhouse together. I didn't bother them, of course. I sat for a while besides the pond in the garden. It's a favorite spot of mine. Eventually, I returned to my tower and buried myself in my studies for the afternoon.
Did you use your telescope yesterday?
Once the stars began to appear, naturally.
For how long?
I can't say. I've been known to lose hours at my telescope.
Did you see anything?
No actual discoveries, if that's what you mean.
So you were all alone up in the astronomy tower. Must have been a while before you found out what had happened to Freya.
Quite. Normally, I would be the last to find out about such a thing. But a curious tug of fate led me towards the fellow tower later that evening.
Where he saw what happened, and that's why he rushed out.
I believe because like it was Poppy and Fitz that were there first, but then Pointer showed up not long after.
He probably saw that yellow beetle he was looking for and was like, I can't let them see that.
I do feel that it's weird that his name is just Pointer, whereas I feel like it should be Professor, but I wonder if like the font didn't fit.
Percival. But that's a, like Hawkshaw's a long name.
Hawkshaw is a little smaller, that's true. He should have been Professor.
Through the ether.
What's wrong with her?
Not sure. She's always been troubled. Comes from a dysfunctional family. I'd say you could ask her about it, but
Wow.
I think you might find that to be a bit of a dead end.
Okay.
Hard to read, that one, but she seems to know what she's doing.
She's kind of mean.
You know, I simply assumed all detectives were sharp, rigorous, and thorough. Then, of course, I met you.
Also mean.
Oh.
I don't especially want to talk about myself. Introspection often leads to vanity.
Wait, does it?
Why don't we discuss the moons of Jupiter instead?
I'm not sure if we have time. Aren't there like 10 of them?
83.
Yeah, we don't have time.
It's a great line.
He should learn to make the most of his lot in life.
Introspection does not lead to
He
vanity,
does
by
have
the
a
way.
lot in life.
You're talking about money?
Among other things, but yes, he currently has agency over a small fortune. That is, if he hasn't already squandered it or lost it.
You two don't get on?
Oh no, we're the best of friends. Nobody could deny her talent. She was remarkable, artistically gifted, but also highly intelligent.
Those two things aren't mutually exclusive, you know.
Was she ever interested in astronomy?
I don't think she was. The fault may well lie with me for failing to inspire her. But I think she was captivated by more tangible things here on Earth. My daughter loved her. Fiona, too. That said, in the last year or so, more and more I've begun to notice her by herself, wandering the gardens at the most peculiar hours. She must have explored every inch of the grounds 100 times over. Quite a restless spirit, I think. I'm surprised she chose to live at Tangle Tower as long as she did. Ah, Penelope, our resident ornithologist.
Penny's your niece, is that right?
At this moment in time, until she marries the gardener.
She'll still be your niece.
But she'll depart from the world of the Pointers and join the Fellows. Like rats deserting a sinking ship.
Oh my god.
That makes no sense, though. You want to know how I know that this won't work?
Pointers at the sinking ship?
Well, no. You want to know how I know that her marriage will never work? Because you can't have Penny Fellow. That's ridiculous. She would need to be Fenny Fellow.
Fenny Fellow.
Ah, yes, the heiress of Tangle Tower. Goodness knows what'll happen when she takes charge. I dare say she'll confiscate my telescope and replace it with a microscope.
She doesn't seem to be the type to impress her will on others.
Still, keep an eye on her. Dangerously intelligent, that one.
You sound jealous. Wait, are you two science rivals?
Oh no, we operate on very different wavelengths. Literally. What do you want me to say? He's the gardener.
He's a member of the family.
Yeah, but not the Pointer family.
What happened to his parents, do you know?
His father, Flint, is Felix's brother. Strange man. Don't think anybody knows what happened to him, but he certainly doesn't live here anymore.
What about his mother?
Emily? I've not met her. She never actually married into the Fellow family. Her relationship with Flint was, it was short-lived.
Okay.
My Poppy, my pride and joy. Exceptionally talented pianist from a young age. She... Hold on. Why is she on your list of suspects?
Because she's a suspect.
Oh no, I can personally vouch for her innocence. She'd never... Well, the truth is, she loved Freya very dearly.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to Poppy's mother?
Primrose? She was Flora's sister, a Remington by birth. The playing field has never really been even since she left.
Where did she go?
The playing field.
Away. She went away.
Okay. And I know all of this.
So, we found some research. What's up with this golden beetle? Is this something you're studying?
I can't help you, I'm afraid. I think it must be something left behind by a previous inhabitant of Tangle Tower. I'm not the first scientist to ever walk these halls, you know.
Okay.
It wasn't in the halls.
Lying to
It was
her
in your
face.
astronomy tower.
This looks a little rushed, even by Felix's standards.
At least he tried.
Yes, I suppose it's good for the old fellow to have a hobby. Keeps his mind from decaying, you know.
I think, he seems to be the most, what is it, combative
You
out of
definitely,
everyone.
I would definitely agree with that.
This is supposed to be Felix, is it?
I think so.
I see.
He has a very low opinion of almost everybody that's not Poppy. Or Freya, I guess. He also has a high opinion of Freya.
She must have drawn that one of Hawkshaw rather recently.
I guess.
Poppy's two closest friends. Freya looks so innocent there.
Hold on for just 1 second. My thing died, so I have to go grab my headphones. Okay. So I think I missed what this was.
Freya looks so innocent there. That's rather a small cage for 3 birds, isn't it? But then, aren't we all trapped in a cage? Curious.
You missed the
creature, isn't
photo
it?
of the painting
Some
as well.
sort of amphibious bipedal
Oh, yeah.
fish man.
Playing a trumpet.
Playing a trumpet, yes. Freya was well acquainted with the abstract, I'll say that much.
What does it look like to you?
To me, it's a big, red thing.
What a fascinating interpretation.
He's right, though. It is a big red thing.
That's a very old book, isn't it? Looks like someone could have taken better care of it.
I like the look of a well-read book. Better than one that's never been opened.
Ah, well put.
Ah, well
Grow
put.
things like this in his greenhouse, doesn't he?
What's wrong with that?
Well, you can't eat it. Makes you wonder why he bothers at all.
Because the only
What's
value is when you
It
can
looks like
eat
it might be
it.
a telescope. Thought you might know something about it.
Well, it certainly is a telescope.
I mean, I
It
think
has a
he,
part there
I
to
think he has
screw
a
onto
separate
tripod,
implication.
see? It's rather
I think you would
small,
agree.
though. I'm not sure you can see many stars with it.
No, probably not.
Is this important?
Possibly.
Here's a thought. Do you suppose the paintbrush could be the murder weapon? After all, it was found at the scene, right next to Freya's body.
I guess it's possible.
I haven't seen that tape for a long time. Who broke it?
No idea.
Ah, well, possessions are fleeting, my friends. Pointer property originally, purloined by the fellows. Typical.
That's a word I haven't heard in a while.
Purloined.
Purloined.
I mean, he is right though. It was
You
Penelope's.
know what she keeps in there?
Nothing. At the moment. It was empty when we opened it.
How bizarre.
Can't a woman keep an empty egg in her room?
How bizarre. How bizarre.
Oh,
I
bizarre.
find that painting to be in rather bad taste.
Oh, yeah?
The knife with real blood on it? The whole thing is rather vulgar. Where on earth did you find that?
It was in a bush outside. I think someone threw it away.
How peculiar.
I
A
wonder if it's
very
his.
old statue indeed. I'd recommend you leave it well alone. The poor fellow's in bad enough shape as it is.
He seems to
Isn't the
be.
process of decay
Dodgy.
It's not really
Yeah.
decaying. It's plastic.
It's becoming one with nature, all the same. Not exactly a wealth of information, is it?
It's enough.
Not exactly a...
It's enough.
Okay,
So
what's
which one
his?
is Tangle Tower?
What's that?
There are 2 towers, right? Flora's tower and your astronomy tower.
Neither? Truly, I have no idea. You'd have to ask Flora.
She named the house?
The whole thing is a result of her squabbling with her family.
With Felix, you mean? Her husband?
No, her brother and sister, and her father. The Remington family was a rather tumultuous little unit, you see. I don't think Flora has spoken with any of them in over a decade.
All right.
Okay.
So before you leave, you do obviously need to get the statement, but before the statement, I want to see if you can try to click on his telescope. I want to see if it lets you do it now or if you need to take the statement
There's
first.
something about Hawkshaw's handheld microscope. Something suspicious.
Let's ask her about it.
Sure.
Every astronomy tower needs a telescope.
I want to try.
Yeah, so he can see her, and that's why
But this
I
is
was
the
like,
part that's important, right? Is the fact that he's an astronomer whose telescope is pointed at the other tower, like not doing anything.
where he could see.
You can click, by the way.
Sir.
You can see right into Flora's room.
Not by accident.
I can see Flora, but she's not looking this way. She's looking up. Behind her is the backside of the easel holding Freya's unfinished painting. I can't really see anything behind it, not from this angle.
It's that little plant Flora keeps on the window ledge.
Don't you think it would fall off? In the wind?
Maybe it's glued down.
I can just about see the gramophone.
Is that a window?
I think it is.
Is there another room above Flora's room?
We should check that next time we're over there.
Very well done, Saba.
Interesting.
So you can keep obviously investigating this scene if you'd like. The reason I specifically called this out was that in my playthrough, this is the only thing in the game post intro. Like, because the intro is like, you go up to the tower, investigate the crime scene, and then you start exploring the house, right? This is the only thing that you can't do until after you've talked to the guy. And so in my playthrough, I just completely missed this. And so I got to the very end of the, or what I thought was the end of the game, and there was still like a ton of stuff left, or not a ton of stuff, but like the game was telling me that I had stuff left to do, and I was like, fucking what? You know?
What am I missing?
And so I just wanted to call this out because, yeah.
An astronomy telescope? I'm pretty sure you need to see the sky for astronomy to work.
I can't move it. I think this is just how it's set up.
So that's suspicious.
Statement.
I was at my telescope for the majority of the evening, but at one point I returned
staring
to my
into the
desk
other
to look
room?
something up in a reference book. I couldn't
Something
find
about
the
a
book I wanted, so I figured
golden
Fiona
beetle?
must have borrowed it. I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall. I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library. She looked impatient and slightly frustrated.
Same as ever, then?
Quite. I passed her by and went upstairs to Fiona's room. The door was locked, but I could hear shouting coming from inside. I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter. I had no desire to invade their privacy by eavesdropping, so I waited for them to finish and come out into the hall. Before I could ask about the book, Poppy grabbed my hand and took me upstairs along with Fiona. It was apparent that both of them had already been crying about something. We went up to Flora's tower. Freya was laying on her back, right in the middle of the room.
He's a liar, I think.
Flora and Fitz were already there. They both looked stoic as ever. Felix and Penny arrived shortly after we did, and then Fiona went downstairs with Poppy for some reason. I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
Why did you leave so quickly? Wasn't there anything you could have done to help?
Don't take this the wrong way, but the whole ordeal is fellow family business. I'm quite sure they don't need me getting in the way at a time like that.
So,
He's a liar, I think, because of, if you remember, what is it, Hackshaw? Hackshaw was like, this dude came running down the stairs, like, kind of panicked.
well, I mean,
Which
yeah.
contradicts him being like, I just came downstairs for a book.
That makes sense,
So.
actually. That makes a lot of sense. Because that is what Hawkshaw said.
Yep, and I doubt she would lie about that, so. What are we gonna say?
No, I was going to say, like you said, I think this guy's a liar. And I was like, he certainly seems deceptive. He has a very combative, like you said it before, he has a very combative way of speaking.
Let's ask him about it. That's all the statements.
Let's go over them all.
I mean, do you want to?
Okay, give me a second. Go.
Oh, you want to look at the family tree?
Yeah, we can end off with kind of
think it's a
looking at this
family
and
tree.
talking.
Sure.
Sounds boring.
So,
Fiona Fellow. We met her.
Whoopsies.
no, it's okay. So, the main part of this that I want to, like, kind of reiterate, I guess, because I think it's very interesting to me, is the Remingtons are the ones who, like, the Remingtons, quote unquote, plus associates were the ones who built this manor originally, right? But then if you look at the thing, like the fellows and the pointers stepped in, and now all the Remingtons are gone. Right? The only one who doesn't have a connection is Richard
Flora.
Remington.
Like Flora's still here, but like yeah.
That
she
is
doesn't
true,
really-
but I mean, she's clearly not really going to be doing much. I will tell you a little ditty that I think is very interesting. Richard Remington is the murder victim of the previous game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they don't mention that in this game because this game is like pretty self-contained in and of itself, like solving this mystery. But there's like a grander overarching thing that we'll talk about probably next week, just based on how quickly you're going through this. And I just wanted to bring that up. Like that's where her brother, like that's what happened to him, and we have no idea what happened to Prim. Like she's just gone.
Seems to be a lot of death-related things in here, huh?
I would certainly agree with that. But yeah, I don't know. Is there anyone that you wanted to specifically, or is there any part of the family tree that you specifically wanted to go over just to double check?
I think I, for the most part, understand this.
Okay.
I think maybe we can have our little digest here.
You want to do a little digest? Because I would say you're probably just before the 50% mark of the game. At like about 3.5 hours of playtime.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because there's because you're done with all the basic interviews. Then you have to go and do all the suspicions. You still have several rooms left to explore, right? There's the 4 minimum that you know, plus the attic that you just discovered. Because I think that's really interesting. Like if you go to your evidence, and then you look at the picture of Tangle Tower, you can literally see the attic there.
Yeah, very big.
Very big, but you don't really think about it because it's just like, oh yeah, that's Tangle Tower. It looks like that, you know. So yeah, I guess my thing would be, is there any particular part of this, of evidence, of people, whatever, that piques your interest?
So let me see here. Clearly, this whole golden beetle thing is happening with the professor. I don't know whether or not he would kill someone over it, but I think he saw what he was trying to look for when that was happening.
Because that's your theory, right? Is that he has the telescope pointed at the other tower? But why would he suspect that the beetle would be there? Wouldn't he why would a beetle specifically be in her tower?
The beetle's there. I think he may have just been looking, and then he just so happened to see it, and he's like, "Oh,
sure, okay."
Oh, but she's into bugs.
Yeah, but that's not Flora.
Yeah.
That's Freya, and Freya's in.
Yeah, but that's the Freya's like space.
No, it's not. It's Flora's
This is
tower.
Flora's
Freya's room is the
tower,
one with
yeah.
no windows.
Okay, I'm trying to think about this because it's like I think.
I mean, to be fair, if
Freya
you're
has to
looking,
do
if you're
it.
looking for bugs and you're not looking in the gardens or greenhouse, you're an idiot, obviously.
Yeah. Which he does say he goes down like right before the garden, but like Penelope or Penny and
I'm gonna
Fitz were
ask
in
you,
the garden. So
this is gonna be a little pointed because it's obviously, well, pointer first off, and B, I think the connection's gonna be kind of obvious when I ask you. Who hired Hawkshaw?
I mean, it appears to have been what is it? The dude. What is it? The
Professor Pointer.
Yes, Professor Pointer.
And what was she hired to do?
Probably to find the golden beetle.
And and Fitz even said that
And that's
she spends a
right.
lot of time in the gardens, right?
Yeah, and that's why she stationed herself there.
She stationed herself in the only place in and out of both the gardens and the greenhouse and the house itself, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why she stationed herself there, and that's all well and good.
Clearly, it seems like Freya knows something, though. Or, like, she just so happened to maybe come across the golden beetle without even realizing it, and maybe that's what she was keeping.
I think it's very important to say that beyond... Because clearly Freya made a large impression on everybody. I think Freya was genuinely just a nice person, right? I don't know. Maybe she was a little overly nice to try to get people to like her, but genuinely there's a facet that just seems like, no, I think she's just like a good person. And it's very interesting that of the people who gave descriptors of her, everybody always talks about how she has this like innate talent, how she's really understanding and patient and yada yada, and only 2 people have described her explicitly as being intelligent. One of them is Fifi, who is obsessed with intelligence, right? And then the other one is Professor Pointer, who, you know, is also like a scientist astrology guy, right?
Well, Hackshaw says, what is it? Freya's smart, right?
She said that she was like, you know what? That's a good point, actually. You're right. Because she says, like, yeah, within a day, she was able to figure out exactly why I'm here, who I hired me, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I mean, that does make sense.
So based off of like a statement I think you made prior, I feel like this is something that's actually like happening maybe underneath this all, because they definitely seem to probably fit each other's temperaments a little. It makes more sense than Penny.
It is certainly interesting. Like, I don't know. I remember when I first played the game, it's like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't fall in love with Penny, but it makes me really sad that she's like, my only friends are birds. And I'm like, fucking how? Like, she doesn't seem like a...
Well, it's not to say she definitely seems like she likes him too, because like if you think about it, she's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't
for him, which is a lot of pressure to put on a relationship where it's like, hey, I'm here because I like you specifically. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like they certainly spend a lot of time together, and I certainly would be of the impression that they fit much better together than Fitz
and plus they have the garden in between them, right?
Literally, yes. Like their rooms are connected via a secret balcony that Penny cannot see. Because if you go to the map, Penny's room is underneath Poppy's room. No, the map, not the picture.
The actual...
Get the X, and then go to map. Because Freya's room is the one below Professor Pointer's room. That's Poppy. The one below that is Penny. So like
Penny's.
The idea that you are the fiance of the guy, and you don't even have, like, your room doesn't connect to your cousin, right?
Because
she's the niece. So it's like that. So like they're cousins to each other. It's like, I mean, it's very interesting because there's you're thinking of like motives and stuff, right? I feel like this game does a really good thing, and the original game does this as well, where it's like it doesn't ask you explicitly like who, what, when, where, and why, right? It just like, here's the information. You can make your own conclusions about it, because the game never formally asks you, well, what would this person's motive be to kill Freya? They're suspects in the sense that they have information that we do not yet possess, but the game is not saying like, oh, why would Poppy kill Freya? Why would blah kill Freya? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I mean, I'm also like the motive for sure, but it's also just trying to like piece together like what's happening around, you know? It's like me discussing Poppy and Fitz, I don't think has anything to do with
that. Seems like a tertiary thing, right?
Yeah, but it's definitely something that feels weird enough for me to be like, that doesn't seem
noticeable. I would like to ask.
important.
I would like to do 2 things before we leave, because I think we can leave. Number 1, I do want to ask you, just on your own opinion, if you wouldn't mind opening up suspects. I just want to know, who do you, like, as of right now, based on what you know, who do you find the most likely to have killed Freya? Because Freya died.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
And these are
think
all the
it
people
would
that were
be-
on the island that day. Unless there's another person that you just don't know about, it had to be one of these 9 people.
I don't think it's Flora, Fifi. I was gonna say Penny, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's Hackshaw though either.
Hackshaw.
Hackshaw, whatever. Hawkshaw. So, because I don't think it's these 3. But there is also the idea that, I don't think it would have been Poppy directly, but it's there's also Poppy and Fifi and what is it, Freya, right? The picture was torn, and then there was also the conflict between, I think, Poppy being I want to leave, and Fifi's well, I'm not gonna go, right?
Right, because Fifi
go.
feels a lot of familial pressure because she's the heiress of the entire thing.
Yeah. Pointer, maybe, but so far, everything I've seen, I don't think indicates that he would have killed her, based off of the timeline going on in my head about what he's been doing. Can't think of anything in relation to Felix. Just because of how,
I just realized that Penny and Freya have almost the same necklace thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of neat. But yeah, I just wanted to ask that, and then I also think that it would be best to finish up today's stream by doing the the summation of statements, which you have to go to the boat to do. I think that would be a good final resummarization of all of the statements, and then that would be a good place to pick up next week.
That's all the statements collected. Let's run through them all to see if anything doesn't add up.
To see if anyone's been lying.
That too.
Okay. Hello?
Fitz and I were up in the Moonlight Garden most of the afternoon. Then we heard this sound. Lasted about 3 seconds.
We thought it was coming from Flora's tower, so we went up there.
Her door was locked. Nobody was answering. So I made Fitz kick down the door.
Poppy and I went in. Freya was right there, laying on her back.
I left my tower and headed down towards the Grand Hall.
But in the hall, I spotted Uncle Pointer heading down the stairs. I vacated the library, but before I could begin my ascent, Professor Pointer appeared.
I didn't know what to do, so I ran downstairs to get Fifi.
I heard someone heading down the stairs. Just outside.
So we missed someone, because he was I heard one person walk down the stairs. Or it was, what is it, these 2 going up? But he said they were going down, right?
I think he said that he heard 2 different people going down the stairs, I thought.
Yeah, I thought he said, the first time they were walking really calmly.
And he ignored it, right? And then the second time he was this time it sounded panicked, so I came out the thing.
So then the second part makes sense because I'd be Poppy.
So that actually is a really, can you pause?
On the door. I ignored it.
Or not, okay. There you go. That's actually a really interesting observation, because then who would that person have been?
Yeah. Interesting. Maybe someone... But I think everyone saw everyone else, so unless someone was hiding in the attic, I'm not sure.
Eventually, she let me in.
I spotted Detective Hawkshaw coming out of the library.
He emerged from the Pointer staircase, crossed the hall, and begun up the fellow staircase. As I was passing through the front door, Penelope called out from behind me. I inquired about the professor, and she told me he'd gone up the fellow tower.
Is that how you spell inquired? I thought it was inquired.
She didn't believe me. She got angry.
I thought she was playing a trick on me, so I punched her in the face.
I recognized Fiona's voice as well as the voice of my own daughter.
We left the room, and Poppy's father was waiting outside. He followed us upstairs.
I ran up the stairs, hoping to catch up with him, but Felix appeared and blocked my path.
Back in the hallway, I bumped into a very concerned-looking Penelope. She was heading...
I wonder what he was doing in the room, though.
I mean, he did say, if you want to pause, I can re-explain, but he did say why he went in there.
When she came back, she had her father with her, and Fifi too.
He said when you asked for his statement, he said that he made the assumption that it was an argument between Fitz and Poppy. I don't remember exactly why, but he was like, it must be something between these two, so I'm gonna go into Fitz's room. And then he goes across the hall, and then he hears a bunch of people running up the stairs, and he's like, What's happening? And then he comes back outside, and he sees a bird woman, and he follows her up the stairs.
Bird woman.
Arrived shortly after we did.
A woman.
And every sprite now fits into this tiny room.
Then I took a sample of the red paint on the unfinished painting.
She took me down to the library. We were in there about 15 minutes.
I quickly decided that I should leave also. I took Penelope with me, and we both went back to our rooms in Pointer Tower.
I wanted to go back to my room, but I realized nobody had told Detective Hawkshaw anything.
An unremarkable hour passed before the gardener finally made his appearance.
I think she was annoyed about being made to wait outside so long. But when I told her about Freya, she fell silent.
So can you pause real quick before we continue? I wanted to point something out that I think is just really cool from a, like, narrative, not ludonarrative dissonance, but, like, ludonarrative, I don't know, harmony, I guess. Did you notice that when almost all, like, everybody but Hawkshaw was in that room at the same time, and even with that room being so crowded, they still specifically made sure that Flora's little, like, icon thing never intersected or overlapped with anybody else, just to, like, really hone in on, like, how lonely this woman feels. It's really sad, like, because, like, you know, she's really quiet and always on her own and stuff like that. It's like, dude, that's fucking Jesus. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Anywho.
They don't just line up. Some of them even seem to specifically confirm each other.
Okay.
Okay, well, anyway, that is the summation of statements. How do you feel about that? Because I think you made a really interesting observation. The idea of Felix said that he heard 2 sets of footsteps, but in that summation they only mentioned the one.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else come up to you as being suspicious?
Yesterday they had seen, I don't remember, did Fitz say he was with Penelope the day before? Or Penny?
Why?
Because
no, he was never with Penny. He was with Poppy.
Because Professor said he went down, and remember he was like, "Oh, I wanted to go in the garden, but Penelope and Fitz were in there."
I'm pretty sure he said Poppy because Penelope was not in the garden.
I don't remember. I don't remember if they said Penelope or Poppy, because I thought I remember.
You've been getting their names
like,
confused all day. I can almost guarantee you it was Poppy, not Penny.
Because he said the garden, like I think the downstairs garden, not the one in the middle.
Why would he have seen anybody in the garden? He never left the house. He went down.
Said he likes to go to the bench by like the water or something in that middle section.
You're talking about the Moonlight Garden in the middle?
No, I'm talking about the professor. I think he said he went down to the
garden. Oh, to the bench
bottom,
where the plaque is all scraped off and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that was part of his statement. That might have just been, like, what he was talking about. Like, because remember, before statement...
That wasn't a statement. It was what was, like, yesterday.
That was in the yesterday portion, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean, fine, I guess, but at the same time, that's not part of the statement, so that doesn't contradict anything.
That's true. The statements are the part that matter.
The statements are the things that are supposed to have, like, actual conflict and whatnot. Because it's like, hey, the event occurred, where was everybody? And what were you doing?
Yeah. I don't know where. I think I'm just missing some vital information, probably from whatever that attic is.
I mean, of course, right? Like,
Yeah.
there are still rooms left to explore, puzzles left to solve, literally with more evidence and whatnot. Once you do all of that, you then have to go back to everybody, ask them about all the people and evidence. Then you have to go back to them again for all of the interrogations, and then you'll finally be able to start making like a large headway. But
yeah,
I will let you know that, like, once again, obviously, I think this game is awesome, and I'm hoping you're enjoying it. But at the same time,
sure.
kind of like what I described to you, the game kind of does just stop. Like with the way that we're doing this, where it's like systematically going through everything and clearing everything out, eventually you hit the last clue and the game's like, all right, you're done. Like there's not really like a denouement.
Yeah, where it's like you saw how it, like everybody gets affected in the end or whatever when the truth gets revealed.
Kinda, but like the thing is that like when you say like the truth gets revealed, typically in the detective game, that's like Sherlock Holmes in the parlor, right? Like pacing back and forth, like re-summarizing everything. The game doesn't really do that. The game just kind of goes like, you're done. All right, you did it.
Congrats.
So we'll get there, and there's a lot of really cool stuff between now and then. But I think that's literally the only part of this game that I find to be a wee bit weak. But anywho, depending on how this goes, because this was, just shy, like 20 minutes shy of 4 hours or whatever, and I think you did an excellent job. I think based on, because obviously I'm helping you shortcut on a lot of the actual puzzles and stuff, so that way we can keep things moving at a pretty even pace. Depending on how things go, I don't think we're going to have to do another 4 hours next week. I think we should be okay. But it might also be interesting to do the Mermaid Mask demo. But depending on time, we might just skip that. Like, we obviously don't need to do that. But I just wanted to show you because, like, you've obviously experienced like a large portion of the meat of this game so far. And Mermaid Mask is like the same thing, but with like new doodads and stuff. Like I said, you can inspect 3D. You can inspect evidence in 3D. You can actually read documents instead of just having a transcript, for example. So like stuff like that. I will say the murder, like the scenario for Mermaid Mask, like the initial proposal, I do find a lot less compelling than this one, because I love the idea of like, hey, locked room murder mystery where all evidence seems to initially suggest that this bitch was murdered by a painting. Like it really genuinely seems like she painted her own murderer.
Yeah.
So I will say that I think it's kind of interesting that they don't, like, Fifi has the ability to test if something is blood, which I'm assuming is just, like, chemical compounds and whatnot, but they specifically do not have the technology to test for DNA in the blood. Because, like, imagine if you did, and then it's like, it's fucking Fitz's blood. What? Right? Like, why the fuck is that there?
Yeah.
But anywho, all right. Good work. Do we have to save? I think autosave is on. I think we're good. All right. Well, that was excellent work. I will see you next week, probably with the end of Tangle Tower, I suspect. Keep in mind that after Tangle Tower, we're going to be doing your Babel game, and then coming back for yet another one of these where I'll be on controls for Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That's the plan. So.
Yep, sounds good.
Coolio. Good night, Sabo. Ciao, ciao.
Righty. Goodbye.